entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Oh, I know why you're here. Today's show has everything. Everything you can imagine. Every red pill aware lesson you can learn, we can learn from our good friend Will Smith. We're going to dig into this a little bit today. You knew I was going to do this, so here we go. You wanted it. You wanted the best. You got the best. Coming up. Yeah, you're gonna be clapping after today's show. I might have to let this one run all the way out. And Ned. Ned is in the house. Ned is sleeping soundly. I can't put him on the Greyhound cam. I'm sorry, I would. But he is not in the right position at the moment. I could drag him over there. He'd be mad. How's it going? How's it going? Well, I mentioned I was going to talk about this on Rule Zero yesterday. How could I not discuss the situation with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett -Smith. How could I not? I would be remiss in my duties if I did not to do such. I've been doing my homework on this, by the way, too. Actually, I have been doing my homework on it since probably about Friday when everybody says, we're going to talk about that. Like, I guess I am now. Wow. So I watched the Red Table show. And before I get started, before I dig into this a little bit, I'm probably going to have this show will be demonetized. I've already accepted that. It's probably going to be demonetized because I'm going to show some clips of the Red Table thing because I was thinking about this. I was actually, this morning I was out mowing the lawn. And I'm like, should I just talk about it or should I actually show the clips so that we can sort of break this down like sort of like a case study, like I usually do for other videos for when I think that there's a teachable moment, let's say. That's when I will sort of risk the censorship. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get demonetized. So with that caveat already out there, please hit the like button. Please pass this show around. I can already tell it's going to be a popular one. Also, if you would be so kind, if you want to, I'm going to run Super Chat's a little bit different in this one today because I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of like really varied questions. And I've been going really kind of long lately. Like I've been pushing like almost 3 hours and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do it to me. And I got to feed the dogs at some point. So with that in mind, please do your very best to keep your questions on topic. I will try to get them at least in the last half an hour to 20 minutes of the show. If they are off topic or if I don't get to them, please forgive me. And if I don't, hit me up in email and I'll do my best to answer them as succinctly as I possibly can. Also, final warning, it's very hot in the studio today. So if I'm doing this or if I'm, it's because it's really hot and I don't want to turn the air conditioner on because it makes a really obnoxious noise through this very sensitive mic. So with that said, let's get underway here today. So there was the interview. I say interview. I call it an interview. It's not really an interview. It was just like a talk between Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Now, actually, I should give you one more caveat. So whenever I talk about celebrities, whenever I bring up, like, say, Prince Harry, which I have in the past, or I think there was I want to say it was almost a year ago that Pat Campbell and I were doing a breakdown of that show. And I want to say it was on Showtime or maybe it was on Netflix, but it was called Marriage Story. And it had Adam Driver was in it and Scarlett Johansson was in it. And we basically just looked at the video itself, and we kind of picked our way through it. It was more like a case study kind of thing. And that was the first time I ever had, I didn't have a copyright infringement, but I did, I got that whole episode was demonetized. So if you want to contribute to the show, there's lots of ways to do it. It's in the description right there, and just to fill you in. But the reason I'm willing to risk that today is because I think that we can learn a lot from this exchange between Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Now, the first thing I've been doing my homework, as I said. I watched Tommy Sotomayor did I think he did an hour-long live stream about this, and I like Tommy. Don't get me wrong, I do. I would love to talk with him. I would love to go on with him, but I think sometimes I get in his wheelhouse and sometimes not. It just depends. But he was sort of giving his estimation of this from a black man's perspective, and I really appreciated that. I thought that was good because he made me think about some things that I didn't really think about while I was doing my homework for this. Second of all, I watched was it Black Dragon or somebody? I forget the guy's name, but I think whenever you talk about a celebrity, and this is my standard sort of like footnote for talking about celebrities, the first thing that happens, if you talk about like Jeff Bezos, if you talk about Prince Harry, if you talk about Will Smith, if you talk about any kind of high profile guy, and God forbid you say, I think the guy's a beta, that's when everybody loses their collective minds. Because usually there's probably, well, I would say usually there's a lot of fanboys and fangirls out there who will immediately jump to their defense. It's sort of like their team win or lose. And as I said before, every single case study that I do, whether it's a celebrity or it's not a celebrity, I'm not here to tear them down as a person. Okay. I've never done that. If you go and you look at any of the videos that I have done, where I've done case studies or I've just sort of broke down or detailed whatever. It's not, I don't want to call it a takedown. It's not a takedown. This is not a takedown. Prince Harry wasn't a takedown. And all the other YouTubers who have been critical or of the red pill or whatever, those weren't takedowns. Those were education. It was me informing and giving I would think a coherent, cogent rebuttal to whatever their presumptions were about things. Myself, the red pill, hypergamy, the things that I get into. So, again, last caveat, I'm not trying to break down Will Smith. Anybody a fan of Will Smith? I certainly am. I really am. I really like Will Smith. I grew up with Will Smith. He was actually, we are the same age. He will be 52 this year as well, right? I was 52 in April. He'll be 52 in September. So we're both the same age. He is Will Smith, right? I'm Roll Tomasi. So I think that Will Smith is sort of like almost Americana right now because he's like this actor that a generation sort of grew up with. And he was also a rapper. He was also a musician and, that kind of stuff. And he's also a producer. He's done a lot. So to say that Will Smith is a beta is kind of disingenuous, I think. Disingenuous in the sense that he has certainly done a lot for himself. I would say certainly when he was coming up, when he was sort of becoming Will Smith, the Will Smith that we know today, definitely alpha, definitely knew what he wanted to do, definitely was a positive kind of guy, wanted to, take himself far. But I would also say he was definitely blue pill. And this is what confuses a lot of guys. Whenever I say, well, he's a blue pill alpha, they think that if you are alpha, you have to, by definition, necessarily be red pill. And that's not true. There are a lot of red pill red pill alphas, red pill betas. There are guys who know, and the black pill community, the doom pill community is full of them, right? It's full of guys who know the truth. They see it, the writing on the wall, and they can't shut up about it, right? They can't help but beat themselves up and self-flagellate because they know, I know what's going on. Yeah, you do. But again, because of your beta mentality or your beta-ness, whatever you want to call it, it prevents you from actually your full potential. Now, the opposite is also true. So you can be an alpha and be very blue pill conditioned. In fact, I would say that's probably more common than a red pill beta today. So is Will Smith a blue pill alpha? And in that case, I would say yes. And maybe he's kind of changed a little bit. And when we watch this video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. He looks, I don't want to say beaten or defeated, but he looks like a guy who is like Tommy Sotomayor said, he looks like he's just about to cry. And I saw a lot of the screen caps, and I use one for the thumb. I'm sorry if you're a fan, but I use that because when I think of, maybe it's just me, but when I think of Will Smith, I think of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? I think of whatever, I forget the name of the character. When I think of him in like Independence Day, right, or Men in Black, or even Ali, like when he did the Muhammad Ali movie. Obviously has a talent for acting, obviously is a good guy, right? You think of him as being the good guy. There's nothing wrong with him. Like he doesn't have like some sordid dark past. Like he had and I don't think, and this, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on Will Smith here because again, like I said, I did my homework. He had been married before. He got married in 1992. I think her name was Cherie something or other. I can't remember. But he ended up, I think this is the way it went. He ended up getting her pregnant and then ended up marrying her. They had a kid, his first child with her. And then in 1995, they ended up splitting up. And that's when he started getting after it with Jada Pinkett Smith that he had met on a studio show or something like that, where they never really were together on a show, but he'd met her through showbiz, let's just say. And then in 1997, that's when they got married. So that's a little bit of background. I'm not trying to be TMZ or anything like that, but I do think that is important because in 1992, let's see, if he's the same age as me, he would have been 24 years old at that time. Am I right? I think I'm right. Yeah, 1990 would have been, 22. Yeah, so he would have been 24 years old. And it's also, numbers are going to be important in this as well. Because right now, Will Smith is 51. He'll be 52 this year. Jada Pinkett Smith is 48 years old right now. The guy that she got with, or the guy that she is sort of discussing in here, is August Alsina, right? Rapper. And it's important also to understand his age, because his age is 27 years old right now. Now, all of these entanglements that Mrs. Pinkett Smith talks about happened about 4 to 4.5 years ago. That's what she was saying. So let's just round it off. Let's just say 4 years ago. So at that time, August Alsina was 23 years old, and she would have been 44 years old. And I think that's an important number to consider because it's something we kind of like, we don't want to do the math. We don't want to go, well, here you have this, she's almost twice his age. Actually, she is about twice his age, right? And that seemed like a good idea to her at that time. I'm bringing this up in the beginning here before we get to the video because if you've read my second book, which is Preventive Medicine, and in that timeline, she would have been right around the time where she gets into the alpha reinterest phase of that timeline. And I think that's kind of important here because at that time, let's see, how old would he have been? He would have been 29 and she would have been 24, 25, 26. She's definitely, when they got married, when Jada and Will got married, I'm going to say she was 26? Fairly certain she was 26. Maybe she was, because she's 52, so 48. So there's 4 years difference between the two of them. So she would have been about 25, 26, somewhere around there. And that's kind of early. Maybe not from the 90s, but it's kind of early, certainly by today's standards. And I think that when we look at this, we'll see just how Jada talks about wanting to sort of feel good. And that's really important because today's reading is not necessarily this book right here. It's going to be actually from Preventive Medicine, which is my second book, because there's a timeline in there of the most predictable, most, I'm going to say obvious, but certainly the most predictable progressions of maturity that women go through at different phases of their maturity, what it is you can expect from women at those. And at this time, I would almost expect exactly what she's doing, because if she's been sort of the faithful wife from the time she married him in 1997 to where she is right now, where she's admitting an entanglement, which is a nice euphemism, I think. It's funny is like women would always say, well, or even guys would say, well, it's complicated. That an entanglement is 2020 speech for it's complicated. So with that said, I'm going to dig into this a little bit. I don't want to, gosh, I'm really sketchy about doing this, but I'm going to do it anyways, because I think it's in the interest of science. It's probably better. And I'm trying to think of the last thing I was going to tell you. I've got, where's my show notes? If you're looking at show notes, you'll understand what I'm talking about here. First off, I want to say this is I don't think that Will Smith is necessarily a beta male. I do think he's very blue pill. And I think he's blue pill in the sense that he's a very optimistic blue pill guy. And why wouldn't he be? For most guys who are naturals, most guys who have talent, most guys who are good looking, most guys who have a lot going for them, and they become famous, or they're sort of like the natural guy that you knew in high school who was just lucky with the girls, or he just hit the genetic lottery and he was the quarterback of the football team or something. Like, he was the guy that all the girls wanted to get with. I would say probably in the very beginning, certainly right up until maybe maybe even after that. Like, a lot of people are saying, he had a relationship with an entanglement with Margot Robbie. I looked that up as well. There's no real confirmation for that right now. So get that out of your head, because a lot of guys are going to say, okay, well, I think he was gay. Okay, well, still no guys have come up and said, I had sex with Will Smith, right? Margot Robbie, not coming forward, probably because she's married now. Not going to say anything, probably just going to let this blow over, and that's going to be that. Okay, good. But that doesn't keep, Twitter and the rest of the, the global sexual marketplace from making speculations. And I'm going to tell you why they're making those speculations as we get through this. But another thing, keep that in mind, because a lot of guys keep saying, well, Will Smith could have any chick that he wants, right? He's Will Smith. He's worth $250 million. He's a hot, he's one of the hottest actors in Hollywood and has been so for a long time. He can have anybody he wants. And then my response to that is, so can Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos can live, if he chose to, like Dan Blitzerian tomorrow if he wanted to. Did I say his name right again? He could, but he chooses not to. Why? Why does he choose not to? Because he's blue pill. Because that's just what Bezos is comfortable with. That's what Bezos wants to be seduced by a predatory female, Lauren Sanchez, Dirty Sanchez. So here's my coffee. So I want you guys to keep all of this in mind as we go through here, because you're going to hear a lot of. Remember, we talk about we've talked about this certainly in the red pill communities, the rationalization hamster. We're going to see the rationalization hamster in full force in this video. So I'm going to get into this a little bit. I'm going to sort of riff on it a little bit, and hopefully you guys can track with me a little bit on this. Where did this go? It's a Chrome tab. I got to share that, and this is. That's it right there. Perfect. All right. Can you guys see that okay? Good enough. Okay, I'll leave myself up and on there. This was on the Red Table show. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go ahead and play through this, and I'll just riff on it as we go.
The table to really clear the air. Somebody made a statement for me that wasn't a statement I made, that went cray-cray.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to come to the table is the media, the headlines. We specifically never said anything.
Yes.
We were purposely not saying anything. Any headline that says Jada said or Will said or the Smith said is not true. We specifically never said anything.
Right.
So coming to the table was like, we just felt like it got to the point where you got to say something.
Yeah, and to stop that cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, so what they're basically admitting here is that this is damage control. Both of these, probably more Will than Jada, but Will is the commodity here. Will is the one who has really the most Hollywood gravitas at this point. he doesn't look like Will Smith in this, and I don't think that that's any surprise for anybody. I mean, you've probably already seen the memes that are already going around and the screen caps and everything else. And again, I'm not gonna break him down as a person, but I do want to also preface all of this in saying that this is damage control, and I don't necessarily think it's so much, he's the hot commodity, but watch what happens and see how she turns this around for damage control for herself.
There's people's feelings involved.
Right. Right.
And at the end of the day, I don't like how all of this came to be. Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's all love.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's all love. Now we've already prefaced things here in that into what I've called and what Dalrock actually have called the romantic ideal. Now, when you make appeals to love, it doesn't matter who you love, it doesn't matter how you love, it doesn't matter. Love. Love is the only thing, that's the highest order of I don't say excuse, but that's the highest order of correctness, let's say. So if you did something for love, then it was okay. Disney teaches that. The Village has taught that for a long time. Really, since the sexual revolution, the romantic ideal, the romantic ideal actually predates the sexual revolution. I want to put that out there right away. But as we get into what I call the sort of the global sexual marketplace, sort of this new globalizing kind of, it's what has been referred to as the clerisy. And the clerisy is this: it's not the clergy anymore, it's the clerisy. It's the popular consciousness. It's like sort of this gestalt of, it can be spiritual, it can be religious, but it's mostly like Hollywood. It's mostly basically popular media. Anything that's in popular media is kind of like the clerisy. It's what you're supposed to think. It's how are we going to control the masses in a global sense. We need to put these narratives out there. The clerisy is the master of narratives. And I'm quoting from a book that is called, I forget the name of it, the title of it, but it's The Coming of New Feudalism. And the first estate in the old, European way was the clergy, and then there's the nobles, and it's that kind of stuff. But the clergy back in the day, when it was the first estate, was doing the same thing. It was teaching the masses, or it was telling the masses what was okay to think and what was not okay to think. It was sort of the arbiter of morality, but also the arbiter of correct think or real think or the way that you should be thinking. Well, we can't just keep that to one locale anymore. We have to sort of expand this idea of what's okay to think and what's not. And if you've read any of my books, you probably already know what I'm going to say. But right now, the feminine imperative and anything that is sort of gynocentric, meaning anything that refers or is done in a female specific or a female primary way, feminine primacy is what I usually call it, is the correct way. And that's the message that you're going to get. And that's what she's already repeated right here, which is, it was all in love. And let's do the song. It's all in love. Cover your heart. So love is the highest, I want to say the highest purpose for doing anything. And it's certainly true for women, not so much for men. Now, this is not my idea, so I'm not claiming responsibility for this, but I was watching Tommy Sotomayor. The first thing out of his mouth was, if you had changed the roles here and it had been Jada Pinkett Smith who was on Will's side and he was on the opposite side, and he was the one who had to explain his entanglements, we would be having an entirely different conversation about this right now. It wouldn't be, well, it was all in love. Not according to a feminine, female correct society. It's not. For guys, you have to be, you're a cheater. You could run Will Smith, the most positive, well-meaning guy in Hollywood. He would be run up the flagpole overnight if that was the case, if this was what the conversation was, but it's not. And we're going to see what the rest of this is right here. But understand, I wanted to point this out because I thought this was really important, was that the appeals to love is sort of, it makes everything okay. Well, I did it for love.
Honestly. And I would usually not, that would be something I wouldn't comment on at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a situation that I consider private.
You just feel like it ain't really nobody's business.
Yeah.
but now Black Twitter has claimed it as their business.
But, you know, I feel like it's healing that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Even though this is minuscule, I do feel like it's these kinds of things that create the world that we're in. Mm-hmm. And the idea of not communicating, not talking about it, not clearing the air, and just being as transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Just being transparent.
And I'm here with you.
Yeah, I thank you for that, because you've been on a hell of a journey with me. So that's what we're going to start with. This is a very personal journey.
Yeah.
That became very public.
Yes, absolutely.
For whatever reason.
So what happened, Jada?
Okay, so
you notice a dynamic between the two of them here. It's almost like mother explaining to child, and child is yep, yeah, It's all affirmations at this point. My first question, of course, was in the well, actually, I shouldn't say that. In my notes here, I was saying, you know, who controls the frame in this relationship? Who do you think controls the frame between Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith? And yes, she has a hyphenated last name, and there's a reason for that. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But as we go through this, who do you think is in control of the frame of this relationship?
Let's start with, I guess, about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Started a friendship with August. Mm-hmm. And we actually became really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help. Mm-hmm. You know, me wanting to help his health, his mental state.
Because for me, that was the thing when Aug first came around, he was really sick.
He was really sick, yeah.
And the outpouring for him from our family was initially about his health.
Yeah. And I mean, we found all those different resources, you know, to help pull him through. Mm-hmm. And from there, you know, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah,
All right, that's the sound. I should say that's what you hear from men who are stuck in their marriage. That's what you hear from guys who are... A lot of guys will say this, and I've heard guys use this term before, so I'm going to use it anyways. A lot of guys will say that this is like the guy who... This is the excuse or the rationale of the guy who says it's cheaper to keep her. And I can sort of understand that because, I mean, here we have, you know, Will Smith, who's one of the richest guys in Hollywood, right? So it's cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to have a quote-unquote open marriage, you know, whatever that means. Or a life partnership is what they sort of the new euphemism now. It's not an open marriage anymore. It's a life partnership. So it's two people who happen to have kids and they live completely different, separate lives from one another, as if that is a possibility. So what I think is interesting here is, you know, she's explaining this, that she's doing this out of a sense of sort of duty, or August was sick. Remember, August is still 23 years old, and she is 44 years old at this time. So it's a possibility that there's sort of a mother dynamic going on there. But I would also explain this, and this, again, if you read Preventive Medicine, you'll understand what I'm talking about here. This is where women tend to go through an alpha reinterest. They're looking for a guy who is going to rock their world, a guy who is not their husband, a guy who is not the guy that she got with, who became something maybe he wasn't when they first met. I mean, I think it's probably a pretty safe bet to say that when these two met, Will Smith was on top of his game. He was hitting his stride as an actor, as a celebrity, as a guy who is very well known in the United States, certainly, and probably all over the world as well. So how does she not say, yes, I'll marry you to something like that? How does she not get involved in something like that? So again, some things to keep in mind as we work our way through this.
Basically, we broke up.
We decided that we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy.
Well, at that...
Right. Okay. So this is a point where, and I want to stop it here real quick, because this is a point where we have this, I don't say it's excuse, but it's not, it's this rationalization between both of them. And when you're a blue pill guy, when you buy, and by blue pill, I mean buying into that conditioning, buying into the rationale that this is the way it should. Well, open communication, anything that's out of the book of Oprah is sort of a canon, right? And you're going to hear this a little bit, in this conversation here, in that you're going to hear open communication. We're on top of our game. We're still together. Blah blah blah. Love conquers all. I have unconditional love for you. That's blue pill right there. All that stuff is blue pill thinking. And so when they get to the point where it's like, I was done with you, I was going to kick you to the curb, I was done. And then the guy says, whoa, wait a minute, and backs it off from the edge and says, you go, and we're on a break right now. In fact, they even refer to it as a break, which I think is kind of ironic because that was sort of a theme for, a Friends episode during the 90s, right? We're on a break right now. Let me explain something to you when it comes to open relationships and when it comes to I think actually maybe to a greater degree with respect to poly relationships is there's no such thing as a break. Okay. Human beings, men and women, yes, we are promiscuous. We're naturally promiscuous. But once we have invested in that person, that's when jealousy comes in. That's when mate guarding comes in. That's when I'm done with you comes in. So on some level of consciousness, to some degree, at one point, Will Smith had a sense, I don't want to say of ownership, but certainly an investment in having a woman, in having this person be in his life. And you don't get away from just like, I know I hear like guys who are really into the poly thing, or I've heard Jeff Miller talk about this. Like, you need to eroticize your jealousy instinct. That is probably one of the most dangerous fallacies I've ever heard of, because first of all, not every guy can do that. And every guy is going to feel jealousy to some degree. And when as we're picking away through here, as we go through this, I think you will see the investment that the blue pill investment, or I shouldn't say that. I think the alpha nature of Will says, you're out. I'm done with you. I'm going to kick you to the curb. But then the blue pill nature says, oh, it's okay. Let's work this out. We can have open communication. We can make this thing work. Now, guys will say, well, that's because he just wanted to avoid divorce, an expensive divorce. Yeah, but there's also his, I think, blue pill investment that it should work for him. So let's keep going.
Particular point in time, it was indefinite.
Yeah, I really felt like we could be over. We
were over.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August. And one thing I want to get clear about and clean up, one of the things that was kind of swirling in the press about you giving permission, which is... the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So now we get down to brass tacks. I will come back to this really quick. I need to scroll down a little bit here. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with the chat too. Oops, that's not it. Yeah, I know. I realize that. I realize the Tupac connection. I'm going to talk about the Tupac connection here as well. So here we have it. You're not giving me permission. Who in this relationship holds frame? Who is the one that is holding frame? I don't know if I've ever done a full episode about this before, but I will say this is that I've heard this so many times that I feel like I've certainly written essays about this, but I've heard this so many times that we have an equal partnership. No, you don't. Why is it so painful to listen to this kind of stuff? Why do we have like this right now? Just like check yourself. If you're watching this, I got over 2,000 people watching this right now. Okay. When you're watching this, do you feel cringe? Do you feel like, I don't know if I can watch this whole thing. Do you feel that way right now? Do you have that kind of like that little, I don't know, I don't call it butterflies in your stomach or whatever, but do you feel that little like kind of like, right? While you're watching him, especially watching Will Smith, who we have a lot of respect for. I love the guy. And it's like, dude, like do something, like stand up, get pissed. But he's not doing that. But we still feel that. We still have that like instinctual thing that's part of us where we're just like, that feels wrong. I feel like I got my goosebumps because I can't watch the like you'll click away from it. I can't watch this. I just can't watch this. Why? Why is that? It's because there's a natural instinctive, but it's part of your evolved mental firmware. When you see things like this, when we detect betrayal, and I've talked about this before, when it comes to hypergamy, women have an existential fear, which is to be with a guy or find out that they're with a guy who is actually beta when she thought he was more alpha. That's the existential fear for women, is to reproduce with a guy who, for all intents and purposes, was an alpha male that she thought he had everything going for him. And then suddenly she discovers that he's actually a beta and she should not have reproduced with the guy, and now she's screwed and maybe she's going to die. I mean, from our ancestral past perspectives, maybe she's going to die because she picked the wrong guy. Well, maybe that's a little over the top right now, but it's still that same kind of edgy fear. Well, that's usually part of women's like what we call feminine instinct or feminine intuition, right? Well, what happens when you as a guy get that? What happens when especially when a beta male guy or blue pill guy gets that? I have had so many guys tell me, should I go root through my girlfriend's phone? I think she's cheating on me. Should I go and snoop on her Instagram? Should I go creeping on her, social media and see what she like? Should I create a fake account and come onto her and see what she does? Like those kinds of experiments. And I tell guys this, I said, the reason why you're thinking that right now is because there's something in your instinctual level, in your instinctual process that is not sitting right with you. And either your rational process or your emotional process, whatever your investments are, is preventing you from listening to your instincts. And I think probably at some point, Will Smith realized there's probably something going on, if not overtly out in the open. And so she's trying to clear this up. And this is where we go with this. This is where the real rubber meets the road here, because she's saying, I'm the only one who gives me permission. Okay, so we know we want to talk about equal partnerships. This is not an equal partnership. This is he's him and she's her. Actually, I wouldn't even say that. She's going to do what she wants to, and he's going to follow along at this point because he wants to make things right. And you'll see towards the end of this video how he tries to do that. He tries to sort of cover up. He doesn't say much in this video. It's almost all her doing the talking. And I think that the reason why she's making it sort of making it an important point during this video to say that she's the one who's giving herself permission to actually, have an entanglement with, August Alsina. I hope I'm saying that right. Is all on her. Now, that might seem like she's copying. I was like, okay, it's all me, mea culpa, right? Like it's all on me. That's not what she's saying. She's saying, I'm the one who I'm the one who gives me permission, not you. You're the guy, you're my husband, but you don't give me permission to do anything. That right there shows you exactly the dynamic in that relationship. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because I see this not just in celebrity couples, but I see this in a lot of blue pill married guys who just said, oh, I'm just lucky to have her. And if you know anything about, and I became aware of this because I had, and thank you, Twitter. Thank you, my Twitter followers, for making me aware of this because I didn't know this prior. But Will Smith is very complimentary to Jada. He essentially, in fact, I saw another, I'm not going to show it, but I saw another interview of her and how they got together and how Will Smith was really, and she acknowledges this, that Will Smith was the one who brought her up. You would not know who her name was as an actress or whatever had it not been for her marriage to Will Smith. She says this basically. And that interview was prior to all of this, but she recognizes, she acknowledges that that's the way it happened. And if you look at pictures of the two of them together, I mean, we can go and do body language mastery, right? We can go through all of the leaning in and all the kissing and the I love mommy poses. And I've done those essays and I've done those videos before, so I'm not going to belabor those points. But if you look at the body language between the two of them, if you look at the way he even just hear how he just sort of like excuses this stuff, that you can see the dynamic in the relationship. And it is not an equal partnership. It is not an egalitarian partnership. But I will guarantee you that people watching this, people who want to give her the benefit of the doubt, people who want to say, well, it's just, let's find out why Will Smith is the way he is. It must have been because he was banging Margot Robbie. It must have been because he was gay. It must have been because he could have any girl he wanted to, and maybe he did. We don't know that. They don't talk about that. But that's the first place a global sexual market, a global consortium, a global mass media, right? The clerisy, right? That's where we go first. That's where Twitter went first. Well, it must be because he cheated on her first, and that's why she was getting hers. That we assume that. We don't know. Margot Robbie hasn't come forward and said, yes, I was in a relationship. I was having sex with Will Smith. We don't know that. Maybe they didn't want to talk about that because it would sort of besmirch it'd be bad PR, right? It would besmirch his integrity as a guy, because we think of Will Smith as a good guy, right? We don't, he does Bad Boys, right? with those movies, right? But still, when we think of him kind of as sort of this, not so much a tough guy, but like a guy who is a good actor. He's fun. It's like, his movies most of his movies are like roller coasters, right? It's good. Yeah. But I think that really when you look at the permission dynamic, and I talked about this when Andrew Yang was running for president, and there was a time where he said something like, or his wife said, I let him run for president because of this one issue. And it was this I'll say admission, but it was this declaration, let's say, of who is in charge, who runs the frame of that relationship. And the reason why I pointed that out, and the reason why I put that, I retweeted that and I made an issue out of that whole thing at that time, is because it was a high profile illustration of this power dynamic. The power dynamic is I do what my wife tells me to. In fact, even Andrew Yang just like 2 days ago said he thought he was being cute, and he put something on his Twitter and says, my son asked me for this, or if we could do this. And I said, go ask your mother. And he said, why do we have to ask mommy? And then he said, because she's always the boss. Ha 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 ha. We laugh at that. We joke at that. And we have this nervous kind of thing to it. But that nervous thing is an acceptance of the fact that the power dynamic is not an equal partnership. It never will be an equal partnership. In any marriage, there's no such thing as an equal partnership. There will always be a dominant and a submissive partner in any sort of couple, even in homosexual couples. There will always be a dom and there'll be a sub. There will always be somebody who has a dominant personality and who has a submissive personality. And usually when we think of dominant personalities, and I would say Jada Pinkett Smith is definitely a dominant personality here. She dominates this conversation. So to tell me that you have an equal partnership, or we have unconditional love and an equal partnership, no, you don't. There's, as I've said before, is that, a woman cannot look up to a man who is her equal. And I think maybe right now we're getting to the point where she's decided, or maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, she's decided that she's in love with him, but she's not in love with him. She loves him, but she's not in love with him. And let's just keep going. I wanted to point out the power dynamic here first, because I thought that was very, very important. Let's push this up again here. Oops. Wrong. I want to take that out of there, and we'll put this in. Here we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what August was probably trying to communicate, because I could actually see how he would perceive it as permission, because we were separated amicably.
Yeah.
And I think he also wanted to make it clear that he's not a homewrecker, which he's not.
I think so. I mean, because this is your red table, and you brought yourself to the red table. I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely. I was in a lot of pain. and I was very broken. Now, in the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily enough,
You guys catch that? You can't find happiness outside of yourself. Okay, I got that. I got that part, right? I mean, I talk about mental point of origin all the time. It's not, remember, mental point of origin is not so much about happiness. It's about decision making. I know people are going to start talking about that. Well, what about that? You can't find happiness. That's like, that right there is straight out of the book of Oprah. You have to find happiness yourself. You have to be, and really when I hear stuff like this, it still sounds like rationalization. It still sounds like I wanted to go do these things because I thought they would make me happy. And now I'm paying the price for them. Had I not been caught, maybe I wouldn't even be having this conversation. But that is exactly one of those social conventions that I talk about that is already in place and already established to help women rationalize decisions and do things that they wanted to do anyways.
you and I were also going through a process of healing in a much different manner. I would definitely say we did everything that we could to get away from each other, only to realize that that wasn't possible.
So we come to the red table. So I'm in the Jada position, right?
So why do you think it wasn't possible for them to get away from each other? Maybe is it the kids? Well, that would be the nice way of thinking about it. But I think it's probably more the finances than anything else, and probably more the PR damage control, which is what they're doing right now.
Now, so you know, you during that time launched into an interaction with August. What do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good.
There it is.
It had been so long since I felt good. And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Right. So there you go. Right there. I'm just going to hold on. I'm going to come back in here a second. So I wanted to make sure that I hit on this point because I knew she was going to say this. I wanted to feel good. Now, there's probably about 1 million guys going, well, yeah, we know what that means. She wanted to feel good. And again, like I was saying before, in preventive medicine, in the timeline, feel good comes right about 42 to 45 years old, somewhere around there. I want something else. I want to go back to my party years. I want to know what could have been. I want to making up for missing out. So let's just, I don't know that this is the case. I don't know them personally. I don't know their personal history or anything like that. But let's just say for sake of argument that from the time they got married to the time that she had her entanglement, that she was completely faithful and he was completely faithful and everything was all good in the hood. Well, if that's the case, think about her going from like say 24, 25 years old to being 42 or 45 years old. And yeah, she's with a guy who's magnificent, right? He's Superman. He can, you know, is he the best I can do? I don't know. Maybe he is. Everybody else loves him. He's a guy that other men want to be and other women want to get with. So yeah. Same thing. I heard something very similar from, was it Stephen Curry's wife from the Golden State Warriors? I forget. I think her name is Alicia Curry. And she said something like when she'd had a baby, I guess they'd had a baby together. And she was on, I don't know if she was on The View or she was on some show. And she mentioned, I really want to feel like people are attracted to me. I really want to lose this weight, this baby weight. And she actually had lost quite a bit of weight already. She said something to the effect like she wanted to be desirable again. I'm just like, you're married to Stephen Curry, Stephen Curry. You know, you're married to this guy who's a pro athlete, makes millions of dollars. He's a guy that other men want to be and other women want to get with. Even after that, it's still this, I want to be desired. I want to be desired by other guys. I want to be desired by whatever. And in this case, what she's making a case for, I think, in Jada, in this situation here, I think what she's saying is that she wanted something else. And what I find fascinating is, okay, you want to feel good. Well, here's this 23-year-old, up and coming rapper. That's the guy I want to go feel good with. So there, you have to like take these things. It wasn't some guy who was 40. It wasn't some guy who was 30. It was a guy who was 23 years old. Well, I wanted to heal. I wanted him to heal. Well, that sounds right. Sounds good. Sounds beneficial. Sounds like you're a nurse. I wanted to heal. I did this stuff and I know it was wrong, but I did it for the right reasons. Okay. But so what are the reasons? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why is it, if he was going to kick you to the curb anyways, does it not make sense that you would want to, what happens to me, or what gets me is like, guys will tell me this all the time. And I believe this is true. Like when a woman decides that she's done with you probably 6 or 8 months before that guy realizes that she's done with you. And that's when she starts to get a personal trainer and she gets back into the gym and suddenly she takes an interest in her looks and suddenly she's, somebody was saying the joke was this is like the look on you. They had a screenshot of Will Smith and it said, this is the look of your face when your wife comes back. And she leaves mad and she comes back with a smile on her face and jumps right in the shower. All right. Well, okay. I mean, it's a joke, right? But it's true because she's already prepared. She's already gone out. She's already done something. It's all, even if it's just mentally, even if she's just sort of separated from you mentally, sometimes leaving, and I think this is probably the case between the two of them, is leaving a guy is just a formality, and getting to that formality is sometimes the most difficult thing because it requires logistics. It requires, moving things around and moving family around and hurt feelings, not just on the part of the two of them, but also maybe the kids and grandmothers and that kind of stuff too. So sometimes the formality takes longer than it does for that person to sort of mentally separate from that other person. Oh, let's keep going. Where did that go?
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with my codependency, which is another thing that I had to learn to break in this cycle of just that idea of needing to fix and being drawn to people that need help, whether it's your health or whether it's your addictions. There's something about that childhood trauma that feels as though it can be fixed through fixing people versus fixing me.
Yeah.
And I think that whole process with Og really showed me that and taught me that. And I'm really grateful for that lesson.
I feel like that husband, like I'm with you at.
All right, let me stop this real quick because he's going to say something really funny here in a second. So really, it's the whole reason for her to do what she did. Initially started out with the best of intentions, right? I needed to heal and I wanted to heal him. And in the process of healing him and banging him, I healed myself and now we're all great. Now, remember at the beginning of this show, when I said this, I said, what if you changed those two? What if you changed Will Smith is now taking over, is saying everything that Jada is saying. And Jada is there going, yeah, yep. Does the dynamic change? Does it change for you? Because it changes for me. When I see that, I go, wow. If that was a guy explaining that, saying, you know what, I really had to bang this chick because she's, I was a damaged person and it was all in love. And I did it because I initially started it because I had some healing to do. And in my healing process, I had to heal him. And as you know, we got together and I don't know how long we were banging or whatever, but I'll tell you what, man, she won't talk to me anymore. But, I'm a better person. This is my journey. And she's about to say this here. It was my journey. It wasn't that you cheated on the husband. It wasn't that the guy that you're with or you've been with for almost 25 years, like 23, 25 years, 23. Pretty sure that's it. Because they got married in 1997. So it's not about that. It's not about the fact that, you're the father of my children. I had some healing to do. It's all about me. I give myself permission. It's only me. Me. There's no one else in this world. You want to talk about equal partnerships? That's not an equal partnership to me. That's not even like the guy's not, I'm just using this as an example, but Will Smith's not even the guy in this. She's the guy. She's the one who sets the tone. He follows her. And again, Will Smith, at least used to be kind of, alpha. If you hear him on like other interviews where he's by himself and he's talking about stuff or a new movie or whatever, it sounds very alpha, very, very in control, very, one direction in his life. He sounds like a guy who I would say is alpha. But put him in a marriage, put him with a woman, and now he becomes, I won't say beta, but he's certainly blue pill, and he operates according to a blue pill like dynamic. But you're going to hear her say here in just a second, it was about my journey. This is really funny here. Watch this.
At the press conference. Look, husband, now I got to be with you at the press conference while you tell the world about your transgression.
Well,
I love my baby. I'm gonna stand by my baby no matter what.
He knows where he's at.
I definitely understand why it would look that way or feel that way, but I actually don't look at it as a transgression at all.
See?
Through that particular journey, I learned so much about myself.
Right. So that's the purpose of it. That's why you should forgive her. I don't view it as a transgression at all. It wasn't a transgression. We now have a life partnership. If we didn't back then, we certainly do now. It's not a marriage, it's a life partnership. But she doesn't view it as a transgression. She doesn't think she crossed any boundaries. We were on a break. Let me tell you something. If you ever hear those words come out of your woman's mouth, you're done. Next. It's over. If it's, you know what? I need to go find myself. I need a journey. I need to go heal. No, you're done. Bye. That's that you want. I always try to be as, I give you the tools. I try to be non-prescription as I possibly can. But if the words "we need a break" come out of your woman's mouth, whether you're married or your girlfriend or stuff, that's it. You're done. It's just a formality. She's already over you. She wants to. Usually what happens is when a woman says, I want a break, it's usually because she's got a guy that she wants to go explore her to see if her hypergamous options, let's say. That means there's a guy there. That means there's something that's mitigating that. Even if it's not a guy, a specific guy, it's the potential for a guy. So when a woman says, I want to be on a break, there's no such thing as a break. What that means is I want to go bang other people. That's what that means. It doesn't mean, oh, well, you go find yourself, heal yourself up, and I'll be here waiting for you, and we'll all be done. It'll all be good. It's the same thing like with poly, for example. That's one of the reasons why I come down so hard on poly, because I know, I'm looking at the, thank you to Sam Bada. He's taking care of the chat today. I got guys in there saying, well, what about spinning plates? Yeah, okay, good. Please do. Don't get married and spin plates. Don't pretend to be in a relationship with one of your plates and then have other plates going. If you're telling that person, hey, I'm implying exclusivity with you, but I'm not going to be exclusive with anybody else. I'm going to play house with you, and I'm going to be out doing whatever while I'm at the same time trying to get you to invest in me, because first of all, it's disingenuous. But second of all, that's not spinning plates. Spinning plates is strict non-exclusivity. Everything's above board. Poly, to me anyways, from what it's been represented to me anyhow, is like guys will say, well, I can be a guy and I can have 5 girls, or I can have a girlfriend and a wife. Well, if you can work that out, great. That's probably that's probably the outlier when it comes to poly. It's usually one guy whose wife wants to get with somebody else and he doesn't have the options. Remember, and why do I say that? Because most guys are beta. The 80% of guys, 80, maybe 85% of guys are beta. They have a scarcity mentality. They do not have abundance. When it comes to a break, when it comes to poly, when it comes to a open relationship, who has the upper hand in the sexual marketplace? When that's the case, it's always the woman, because she's the one. Women are the arbiters, right? They're the gatekeepers of sex. Well, you can go have sex too with anybody you want to. Please go out and do it. You'll make me feel better for actually going out and nailing this guy. But if you go do that, at least I'll have a clear conscience because you wanted to go do the same thing. Well, what happens when one guy goes, well, I can see that I'm not enough for you. You can cuckold me. Well, you can whatever. I'm good with that. It's all fine because I don't have any options. I'm a beta guy. You do what you got to do, baby, because I'm with you for the long haul. Right? Like the guys who what was it? the thruple or the four tuple, whatever it is, with the four guys who are like sort of this beta chumps that are around this one girl, like fat kind of three or four, maybe. I don't know. I'm probably being generous. You know the whole situation I'm talking about. Those are the kinds of guys that go, well, if I can get laid this way, this is the way I'll do it. If I can't do anything else, then, it's better than nothing. It's better than dick in hand. It's better than, pornography. It's better than whatever. At least I get a live, warm, breathing body instead of, nothing. That seems like a good deal. It seems like a sexual strategy for low SMV men, sexual market value men. And so that's why it's popular. So you've got guys who are like, well, I'm into poly, or we're in a poly relationship right now. I made this comparison before in the poly show that I did, but if you go and you look at the situation with Katie Hill, who was a California congresswoman here, she was in a quote unquote poly relationship. And by all standards, I don't know if she called it that, but she was certainly in a poly relationship, meaning that she was like getting after it with with female staffers. Like she was sort of, swung both ways kind of thing. And right before everything went to hell and all the pictures came out that were produced by her now ex-husband, she had gotten with another guy who she fancied. She wanted to get with this guy, and it caused jealousy in the husband. And it was all fine. Poly was a fun circus as long as she was with other girls that he could enjoy. But when the husband gets with, his wife gets with another guy and he starts feeling, with feelings of jealousy, that's when things change. That's when the pictures come out. That's when I'm going to destroy you. That's when, and of course she, Katie Hill's just oblivious to them. Maybe she's not, but she by all, by all indications, she's just completely oblivious to that whole thing. But that's what can happen. And I think really that's kind of what's happening here. So I'm gonna continue on a little bit, but I wanted to point this out because Will Smith has already said, like, I feel like the dutiful husband, or maybe the dutiful wife, really, he's kind of in the dutiful wife position. Like if you look at Congressman Weiner, I can't remember his first name, Anthony Weiner, when he was confessing to, sexting, and when he was confessing to sexual misconduct, and he had to go up to a podium and make a press conference about how he had done all this stuff and how he felt awful, and he was going into sex addiction therapy, and he had, he completely insulted his wife, Uma, whatever. She was the campaign, she was close with Hillary, I think. But, so here's Uma, his wife sitting right there, like, that's Will Smith right now. And Will Smith realized that, and he made a joke about that. And the reason he's making a joke about that is because that's like sort of the nervous laughter. That's the reflexive nervous laughter of a blue pill guy. Because you know what's happening right now. And you'll see this sort of like, you can hear the gears going in Will Smith's head when she's saying all this. He's thinking, how's Twitter? How's the Village? How's the public image going to be of me at the end of this? Because she's doing all the talking, and so now he has to make a joke about it. And later on, you'll see he's gonna resort to more nervous laughter. So bear that in mind as this is going on. He knows what other people are thinking as this goes along, because most people aren't going to break it down in the same way that I'm going to break it down here. I can show you like the red pill dynamics that are going in, the intersexual dynamics that are going into this. Most people aren't going to do that. They're going to have an emotional response. And like I said, and this is the way he feels right now, right? He feels like sort of the dutiful wife that has to stick by her man, who's now admitting to sexual misconduct, like Anthony Weiner was. And I'm using, there was other examples I could use too, right? And so he sees that, and I think maybe he's trying to sort of make that comparison, because he knows that if the roles were reversed, would she stick with him? Do you think if the roles were reversed, would popular opinion be the same thing that it is right now in a feminine primary gynocentric social order? Do you think that would be the case? I don't think so. He would be a bastard. He would be like, oh, I can't believe that guy. Oh, my image is blown of him. That's what would happen if it was the other way around. So I really think this entire interview or this entire, we're going to get together and talk about this. We're going to talk about her feelings. It's all her. It's all her trying to absolve herself of something, her entanglements that happened 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, right? It's not about Will Smith. It's about Jada. That's what this whole thing is about. It's not clearing the air. It's her saying, it was a journey for me. Because when a woman cheats, it's a journey of self-discovery. It's not, he was hot. I was drunk. He was hot. And one thing led to another. It's never that. It's always, well, now I've healed. Now I feel better about myself. Now we can go forward as a couple, as an equal partnership. And now everything's good. And we're fine now. If it had been a guy, he would have been a bastard. Put this up again.
And was able to really confront a lot of emotional immaturity, emotional insecurity. And I was really able to do some really deep healing, and as I came through and started to realize certain things about you and I, he decided to break all communication with me,
Right.
which was totally understandable.
Right.
And I let that be and hadn't talked to him since.
Right.
So it is a little weird.
So there's the caveat. There's the it's over. Don't come at me. It's all over. He never talked to me again. I promise. It never happened again.
That all this stuff is coming out now, since this was
Because for me, this was years ago, right? So the fact that it's coming up now, and I think it could feel weird for people that we're laughing and talking about it, but
it happened so long ago.
And our experiences of working through it, fighting through it, talking through it, and therapizing through it. I think that the why now is weird.
Yeah. When I say it's been a huge healing on my life and just what I had to confront and discover, about myself.
Yeah.
See, so here we go with the journey of self-discovery. It's not that I cheated on you. It's not that, I risked detonating the family and your career and my career and everything else. That was the price I had to pay to heal myself. Is that really what it's about? Because I'm going to tell you this right now, like doing the homework for this, I'm looking at okay, why do men cheat? Why do women cheat? And the first thing you're going to hear from most women is women will cheat because they're looking for an emotional connection. They're looking for a companion. They're looking for something that they're not getting in their relationship with their man. It's never about sex. It's never about, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And you know what I mean when I say that. It's never about that. It's always a journey. It's always forgivable because she's looking for love, which again is the highest aspiration, right? That if it's in love, then everything's cool. Then I did it for the right reasons. Yes, I cheated on you. I'm so sorry, but I did it for the right reasons. I did it because I needed deep healing. So when we hear that, and when women hear that, like the average woman who's on Twitter, the average woman who's on, whatever, is watching The View, or average village woman watches this. She goes, yeah, well, it's a shame that she had to do that. And I'm not saying that there aren't women who go, oh, she's a hoe, right? There are, okay, especially in Black Twitter and according to the women who watch like Donovan Sharp, or who would watch Tommy Sotomayor. Yeah, she's a hoe. She's just trying to justify this. I'm glad you see that, but there's a greater percentage of women who go, sounds about right. Okay. Well, what does this do? That feeds into what we call the divorce porn fantasy. We'll keep going here in just a sec. Puts this up.
The ugly truths and the beauty. So it was something that I felt like wasn't really ready to be discussed because it hadn't been that healing, because he hasn't wanted to, Og and I haven't talked in so long. You know what I mean?
Do you think that if August had called her up, or had it's between the last time they talked and now, which she says is 4.5 years, do you think she would be happy to hear from him right now?
So I don't know. This all seemed very strange, you know.
Oh, I just didn't know why.
But I'm
just turned into somebody
grateful for the journey that you and I have had together. Because I feel like there are a lot of couples that go through those periods. And a lot of couples that have to separate and think it's over. And, you know, the one thing I'll say about...
So that's that's the mass appeal right there. The mass appeal is everybody does this. Everybody, this is just normal. It's just normal that we fight. It's just normal that we do. I did a show actually with Pat Campbell a long time ago, and I forget the name of the psychologist. I want to say it was the lady with the accent, and I can't remember, but she was saying that she felt like a healthy relationship was one where the couple would be happy for a while, and then they would fight and they would make up, and then they would go through another sort of happy phase, and then they would go fight and they make up, and like that's normal, right? That's just what you do, kind of thing. And I look at that and I go, that's a really messed up way of thinking about things, because I can count probably on the fingers of one hand how many real fights I've had with my wife in, I don't know, 24, well, coming up on 24 years now. And then before, when we were dating, it's, I don't think that that's a normal thing, but what she's doing here is making an appeal to saying, well, everybody does it. So, you know, we just have to go with it too. And that's just sort of this appeal to sort of mass interests right there. So I thought I'd point that out, because sometimes you will hear this, particularly like on The View or any kind of like female centric, media, let's just say, where they're trying to explain these things. And you're going to probably hear this in the coming week. I would not doubt that you're going to hear a little bit more about this, maybe on some shows or talk shows or whatever, certainly starting by next week. And they're going to try to break this down and analyze it. And I will guarantee you that in a female primary gynocentric media, The Village, you will see that they will take her side. They'll say, well, you know, all of us women have to go through that. That's what they're going to say.
You and I is that there's never been secrets.
Right. We came together young, and we were both broken in our own ways, and to be able to make mistakes without the fear of losing your family is so critical.
Yeah. It's the idea of any relationship and trying to get to deeper understanding of love is going to be forged in fire.
There you go. Did you hear that? Love is the apex. We got to get to love where nobody's at love. It's like this. It's the dog chasing its tail, and love is the tail. You have to keep chasing it and chasing it and chasing it. And everything that you do along the way doesn't matter, because you can just blame it on your good intentions to getting to a position of love. And look at that face.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I'm deeply grateful in this whole process between you and I is that we have really gotten to that new place of unconditional love.
Because I wasn't
I guess you better hope so.
sure I was ever going to speak to you again.
I know.
Yeah, like the fact that I'm speaking to you again is a miracle.
I would agree.
No, but it ain't for the weak at heart. There's just certain things that you have to go through, and it's like...
And I wish, I wish that wasn't the case. I do. I wish that wasn't the case.
I sure wish it could be all magic and miracles.
Yeah. You got to go through some to get the answers. Mm-hmm. And I'm just happy because I definitely believe that you and I, we never, ever, ever thought that we would make it back.
Yeah, there's a real power in the just knowing somebody's riding with you no matter what.
It sounds like he's forcing that, because that sounds like he's forcing that to me. I'm looking, there's one little ending part here, then I'll stop this whole thing. But when you listen to Will talk, because he hasn't done hardly any talking. She's the one who's been doing the explaining the whole time, and she's setting the tone. Well, she is directing the narrative in this. And the narrative is, I cheated on you with a guy who was 23 years old and I was 43 right at the time. But we did it with the best of intentions. And now I'm a better person for it. And guess what? You're a better person for it too, Will Smith, because now I'm a better person. I'm your wife. Not at least I think I am. I hope I am. I never thought I would be after all this. But you're really a better person as a result of this. You improved along with me. So not only did I heal, you're a better person because you're secure in your masculinity, because you're sitting there like a scolded little boy, with nervous laughs and agreeing and trying to find ways to sort of align yourself with the answers, what sounds like it should be right. The answers that sound right. Yeah, I remember that. But, and this is the big but, because we're about to, I stopped it here with intentionally, because what he's going to say next is sort of that alpha nature coming back up to the surface again. And he's trying to do it in the most blue pill correct way of doing it. But you'll see here in just a second what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
And you really can't know that
until you go
through some stuff, I don't want to go through this no more.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Here it is.
Yeah. I'm going to get you back first, and then...
You're going to get me back. I think you got me back. I think we're good on that, okay?
There's that nervous laugh.
That's probably true.
But, and I don't think it's about getting anybody back.
No, for me it is.
Okay. I'll give you that petty, that's what you want.
Do you think he's serious? Do you think he's serious, or do you think he's joking right there? Do you think he's trying to cover himself? Does that sound like maybe the alpha nature sort of reasserting itself? People will watch that and they'll go, oh, that's just Will Smith being Will Smith. That's his wife of 23, 24 years sitting across from him. He doesn't have to joke with her.
But, I will definitely say it's just part of it.
Yeah.
It is what
you
it
expect
is.
to be with somebody for a lifetime.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
So there you go. I'm not going to continue anymore with this. This is just, again, did you feel that? Did you feel that tension? Did you feel that was rehearsed? Did you feel like that boy, that's cringy. Like I love it when people tell me like something, oh God, that's so cringy, I can't watch it. Or they can only watch so much of something because it gives them that kind of the willies, right? Like the creeps. That gives me the creeps, honestly. And probably there was a time maybe where it wouldn't have. Like when I was more blue pill, like in my 20s or something, and I had like sort of these Pollyanna ideas about like how a marriage should be, how girlfriends should be, how women should be, how men should be, those kind of things. I probably would have been like, oh, that's so cute. There's people right now who are thinking the exact same thing. Oh, they have such a great marriage. There are women right now who watch that and they'll go, boy, what a strong marriage. They can weather that storm. That's awesome. No, it's not. In fact, I don't know. Like a lot of people saying now the next logical question here is, do you think that they'll come out on top? Do you think that they'll actually go the distance? Like, is that a successful marriage? And I've always said this, is that I don't see a success of a marriage, or even, success of a life isn't measured in time. It's measured in like the quality, the durability, that kind of stuff. So, well, they're durable, right? She cheated on him. I was like, well, is that even a marriage anymore? They even call it like a life partnership later on. They said, we're in a life partnership. We're not in a marriage. And I think one of the reasons why this exchange on Red Table, whatever, is so popular right now is because in the current social narrative, we want to redefine marriage. We want to redefine relationships between men and women. We want to say, well, this is what's acceptable and this is what's not acceptable. I've read article after article saying, the nuclear family was an anomaly of like the 1950s, a post-war 1950s, and we shouldn't use that as our goal. And in some ways, I think they're right, but I also understand why they're attacking that. why they're attacking like traditional marriage, if you want to call it traditional marriage, or traditional families. Now today, of course, you can make the case, well, there's gay families and there's extended families and there's, single mothers. And yeah, there is. And the reason why we're trying to normalize these things right now is because either we normalize them or we feel bad about being in those kinds of relationships. I mean, if you go and you look at like their children right now, I think isn't one of his kids like transgender, I think right now, I'm not really sure. And this isn't a show about transgenderism, but I'm just saying, look at the products of all of this. Look at, if you look at her in the late 90s to where she is right now, she's gone from having really long hair to having really short hair. And I'll also explain this to you as well. As I've said this before, and I'll just reiterate this here. There's only one reason a woman doesn't take a man's last name. And usually it's a psychological thing. Now, guys will say, well, what if she's famous? Well, like Jada Pinkett Smith. Well, she still wanted the Smith on there, didn't she? So she wasn't famous enough to want to keep her last name, but she was, or I shouldn't say she wasn't famous enough to not want Will Smith's name, but she was just famous enough to want to keep her own name, hyphenated. Like guys will tell me this. They'll say, well, what if she's a lawyer? What if her brand is her last name? Then how often does that happen? Probably less often than women will keep their last name or they'll hyphenate their last name. And the reason for that is because women don't want your crappy genes. When it comes to a man's legacy, his last name is everything. If we were to put a name on my genetics, it would be Tomasi. That's the Tomasi DNA strain, right? Or whatever your last name is, right? Not really my last name, but whatever your last name is as a man, because we track genealogy through the male lineage, usually, unless you're in a matrilineal type thing, but we usually track through the male. Well, how do we identify? If we were to identify each and every one of us, we probably would do it by our last name, or I'm of this genealogy. And so that's the name of your DNA right there. So it's the Rollo Tomasi DNA, right? So your kids have this, your kids have that. And really and this is just me talking here, okay? I'm not saying that this is like written in stone, but this is the conclusion that I come to, is that when women don't want to take your last name, or God forbid you want to take her last name, you want to say, oh, we're going to be progressive, we're going to be new, we're going to try something new, I'm going to take her last name, or you're going to combine your last names, or whatever it is. The reason why women don't want your last name is because they don't want to be owned by you. They don't want to be associated with your legacy. They don't want to be associated with unless like they really want to be with you. Unless you've got a woman who's like a ride or die woman, that's not even going to be an argument. That's not going to be an afterthought. It's not even going to be an afterthought for a woman not to take your last name if you're the guy that she really wants to get with. If you're the guy that she really, I didn't want to have babies, but I want to have his babies. Okay, that's the girl that's going to do that. When I see hyphenated last names, when I see women keeping their last names, usually it's because something in the lizard brain, right, in the brain stem, says this guy isn't. I could probably do better. I can't do better now, but I might be able to do better in the future. So I'm not going to take his last name. It's too much of a pain in the butt. It's a Western tradition. I know that there are some religions where you don't do that. I get it. But your children still get your last name, right? Even if you're in a Muslim country. I've heard my Muslim brothers will say this. They'll say, well, we don't do that in our culture. We don't do that in our marriages. They keep their last name. I keep mine. Yeah. Who has the child's last name? How do you track the lineage? Because you're hyphenating it, whatever, is it Will Smith? Was it, I forget his kids' names. They got to be Smith too, right? So at least there's that. But I think that when you, like, a lot of people will say this, they will say, well, she's like Jada Pinkett Smith. She's very selfish. It's all about her. And it would certainly appear that she's very self-important. She's like, nobody gives me permission but me. I do what I want to. So it's not like, I think that wasn't about so much like let me phrase this the right way. I think the reason why August had a or was saying, well, Will said it was cool if I banged his wife. Like he gave her permission because they were on a break or they have a non-traditional open marriage, whatever you want to call it. I think he was saying that because he was trying to protect himself. And then in this interview, you have Jada Pinkett Smith saying, no, I gave myself permission. You didn't give me permission to do anything. And I think she's trying to own that, like saying, well, I'm owning this. I'm owning my that I did what I did. But I think also, maybe more importantly, she's also saying, you don't own me. You don't give me permission to do anything. I give myself permission. Does that sound like a woman who wants your last name? Does that sound like a woman who wants your genealogy and to be associated with the name of your DNA? Doesn't sound like it to me. And a lot of people say, well, she's a product of feminism. She's a product, and they'd be right. And she's a product of gynocentrism, and they'd also be right. And she's the final result of the sexual revolution and where we've come. And well, boy, baby, haven't we come so far? And I think that this is really the reason I wanted to cover this today is because I really thought that this is a good illustration of where we are kind of culturally, like in a global westernized culture. I'm not just saying like just specifically to the United States, because we export this culture all over the world now. But I think, and particularly the feminine imperative, particularly gynocentrism, we export this. And so, women in, Zimbabwe, women in, Dubai, women wherever they are right now all over the world can see what I just posted, and they can make their own decisions for it. And they participate along with that because their mind is a part of that kind of, I guess, zeitgeist, right? That gestalt of like, well, this is what women are doing today. And yes, that sounds fine. I'm going to get back to the super chats here really quickly. But I wanted to halt right here before I do. And I want to say that like when something like this comes out, it's like a lot of people will say, well, who cares? Who cares about that? Who cares? The world's going to hell, Rollo. Why aren't you talking about COVID? Why aren't you talking about, Black Lives Matter? Why aren't you talking about all this stuff? Oh, we're doomed. Ah. What? Well, this is where we're going. This is where we're headed. And again, the last thing I want to say is, if you switch the roles, who sounds like a jerk and an asshole, and who sounds like they got it going on? If it had been Will Smith who'd had he probably would be Me Too'd by now, or there'd be other women who would come out of the woodwork because they smell blood in the water, and they say, "Well, there was one time where he kind of looked at me strange, so I want some money." If you change the roles here, it's not a journey of self-discovery. You change the roles. It's he's a poon hound. He can't keep his dick in his pants. He can't control himself. Remember when Tiger Woods got run up to, like, when he was doing what he was doing? Tiger Woods, man, call it infidelity. Remember that? What did we say about Tiger Woods? Oh, he's got a problem. So what did Tiger Woods do? Well, Tiger Woods, I say, okay, I'm going to go to therapy. I'm a sex addict. I agree. I'm sorry. I'll see you guys in a few years. I'm going to go into therapy. He didn't go to therapy. Because I think that really he just needed to lie low for a while. But that's what we expect of a man who cheats. That's what we expect of a man who has the luxury of following his innate sexual strategy, unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And Tiger Woods sure had that in spades, man. He knew what he was doing. And he, like, you know what? I want to get with it. Tiger Woods, when Tiger Woods was sort of in the news, I guess, when was that? That would have been like, gosh, that would have been like the late 2000s. Let's say 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. Wow, that's been a while. I actually wrote an essay about that when that was going on. But we pathologize the male, certainly male sexual expression, but we pathologize, and by that I mean we make it sort of like a sickness. We make it something that is you need to recover from. You need to go into therapy because you actually have the ability to live like a rock star, or have women that you want to have, but you're expected, because you are who you are, to live up to this socially enforced monogamy standard, because you said, Tiger, you said I do to, was there Elan? Is that what her name was? The blonde Swedish bikini model. And you have kids with her. You're supposed to be an upstanding member of this, planet. We didn't say that to him. No, we said, you need to go. There's something wrong with you. Why aren't we saying that about Jada Pinkett? Why aren't we saying there's something wrong with you? Jada Pinkett doesn't say, you know what? I feel really bad about that and I really need to go into therapy. She's not saying that. In fact, her therapy was getting with August. That's what her therapy was. She says it right there in the interview. I feel better. I'm healed. I'm healed. Yeah. Right after she gets done with him, I'm healed. Sexual healing, right? So we're okay with that. But had it been, oops, my bad. I got chapped lips from being out on the quad this weekend. So we don't put her up. We don't run her up the flagpole. We don't say she has a problem. In fact, we in a gynocentric social order, we use that as reinforcement for women doing whatever the hell it is that they want to do. So anyways, I'm going to back up here and see if I can catch up with some of these. Sorry, guys. I realize it's been a while. Omar Tabara says, there's rumors about them being in an open marriage. Yeah, well, it's either that or we're life partners. We're in a life partnership. And you notice at the end of that interview, she's talking about like, oh, now we finally got to the point of unconditional love. No, it's not about unconditional love at this point. It's like, what are you going to do going forward? And again, the whole process, the whole purpose of her cheating was love, unconditional love. Look, we reached the end. We finally beat the last boss in the video game. We're at love, unconditional love. Do you think that's really what Will Smith's thinking right now? Well, hell, man, we're here at unconditional love. Great. He's not thinking that. He's thinking a 23-year-old banged my wife and she wanted it. That's what he's thinking right now. Because I mean, let's get down to brass tacks here. She wanted to have sex with somebody who wasn't her husband. That's what she wanted. You can call it healing. You can call it like, oh, I wanted to heal him and he healed me. But you can call it anything you want. At the end of the day, when it comes to like evolutionary biological determinism, whatever you want to call it, she wanted to get with a guy who was younger. She wanted to get with a guy who was going to rock her world. She wanted to feel good. She wanted to feel joy. She wanted to be healed. Listen to all those euphemisms. Remember we were talking about the rationalization hamster. It's spinning overtime right there. Yeah, she wanted to feel good. That's what I would call it too. If I was like, there's a 23-year-old that wants to get with me. I want to feel good. Do you think Will Smith could do that? And I say, well, he got with Margot Robbie. And you notice at the end how he says, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Yeah, man, he wants to. I think on some level of consciousness, like he understands what's going on. Even as blue pill as he is, I think he still has an alpha nature. That's why I'm not going to call him a beta. I'm not going to he's clearly a cuck. He's been cuckolded by his wife. As long as they were still in that relationship, if they're, as far as I'm concerned, if that guy's taking her back after that, you've been cucked and you're signing up for it. And you're complicit in your own cuckoldry. Sorry, Will. I love you to death, Will. If you're watching this, just know that I really think you're a cool guy, but you've been cucked. And what you do from here on out is, I think it's more important than anything that you did with her prior. Now, I don't know anything about your relationship. Oh, you don't know her. You don't know them. You're not their therapist. I know I'm not, but I see the patterns. I'll say the same thing I said when I was talking about Prince Harry, when I was talking about the people that I've done case studies on, let's just say. When I talk about those guys, again, it's not a breakdown on those guys, but I know them personally. Do I know Prince Harry? Of course I don't. Do I know Will Smith? Of course I don't. But I do see the patterns, and I do see where we go with those kinds of rationalizations. And I understand the underlying latent purpose of those rationalizations. Let's see. So, are they, but they're in an open marriage. It's okay. That's another rationalization. Why aren't we saying Jada needs to go to therapy. Jada needs to go take care of herself. Jada needs to go to sex addiction counseling. We don't say that. We're like, oh, they're in an open marriage. It's all right. Yeah, they're poly. It's all right. It's all right until the husband says, you know what, here's some pictures, leak some pictures to the press. And she's, like Katie Hill, she's out of a job in the Congress now. That's where this is going, really. MJA, Chris Johnson, thank you for that 99 cents. Wouldn't want to put you out. Thanks, Chris. MJA Marketing says Greeks had a race of 2 horses where you rode one foot on each horse. When the horses went apart, you had to pick a horse. J. Vernon McGee. I guess that's who you are. Okay. So you're basically what you're saying is pick a horse. You got to go on one side or the other side. And I understand the analogy. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So are you in a marriage or are you not in a marriage? Because I think really one of the reasons why we want to redefine marriage right now is because I think human beings, men and women, would like to believe in this ideal that I can meet a woman, she can meet me, I'm the best that she can do, she's pretty hot, let's have a family, let's love each other, let's like grandma and grandpa, right? Like the greatest generation. We want to have that. We have this ideal. And even in gay marriage, like we have this ideal till death do us part. I know we're gay, I know we're homosexual, but we want to live this monogamous lifestyle. And we think we know that it should be possible, and we think that it would probably be pretty good if we could make it work. But we're redefining that right now. We're saying this is what's right and this is what's wrong. Or it's not just that, it's this and this and this and this and this and this and this too. And I said this before when and remember, it's not gay marriage, it's same-sex marriage. It's not only homosexual. Well, most homosexuals are same-sex, right? Got it. But from a legal perspective, same-sex marriage is like, it doesn't matter if you're homosexual or heterosexual. You can be like, as a man, I could be married to another man. And the terms of our marriage is this. We're both heterosexual. We're in a marriage together. Jim, you can go and bang all the girls that you want. And me, I'm going to go bang all the girls that I want. Oh, maybe we'll bring them home once or twice. But that's the terms of our marriage. We're married. We're same sex. We're heterosexual. But we technically, according to the state, that's legal. You can do that. And now in Massachusetts, you can even recognize poly relationships as legal. So how, like back in the day, I think it was in 2015, like when they were talking about like same-sex marriage, like how does that affect you? How does it affect your marriage? Just leave people alone. If they're happy, it shouldn't matter. As long as they're happy, everything's fine. That's like saying, they're in love. As long as they're happy, everything's fine. How does that affect you? It affects me because what determines marriage in a monogamous sense, at least in a conventional sense, is getting back to that one man, one woman, masculine dominant, feminine submissive dynamic that's been part of humanity for a very long time. Now, you could say, well, there's been, poly marriages or there's been polygamy for a long time. Yeah, there has, but it's usually a dominant man. There's always a dominant and there's subs, right? I'm not saying that there's not dominant women, but the man is usually more dominant than the woman because he's bigger, stronger, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's the evolutionary side of all of that as well. But as far as the definition of what ends up being marriage is, how does that affect? Well, it affects it because it's not about how the state, it's not about how it's recognized in society so much as it is you trying to get to that ideal that's sort of in the back of your head. Like, this is the best way to raise kids ideal. So how does that affect? Well, it affects them because it changes the definition of it. So if I was in a same-sex marriage that was heterosexual with another guy, so we're just basically it's a business arrangement, right? And we have our own house, we do the bills together, and we go out on the weekend and we pick up chicks, right? That's our marriage. If we go out and we do something like that, that certainly changes the definition of marriage. Now, what would be the worst thing? Like, how would I get divorced from Jim? Right? If I was in that, how would I get? Like, what could I do that would be the transgression that would break us up? Like, well, I'm getting all I want, he's getting all he wants. We have it's a business partnership, basically what it is. That changes the definition of what marriage is. So, anyways, Mr. Highway says Proverbs 30-20. Here we go. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats, wipes her mouth, and says she has done nothing wrong. Yep. Remember what I said in Mr. Highway? Remember what I was about 2 or 3 episodes ago when I was talking about cognitive dissonance and how women can hold 2 conflicting ideals or 2 conflicting concepts in their heads. I think it's, in general, it's the truth, but I think it's easiest for women to do that if one of those conflicting ideals or conflicting concepts leads to optimizing hypergamy. So it was okay that Jada did all that stuff with whatever she did with August because she was exploring her options. It might have worked out. Oh, he stopped calling. Guess it didn't work out. What would happen if he had like fell in love and they were like, connected? We wouldn't even have this conversation. It would have been over 4 years ago. But he just, because August was 23 years old, probably said, you know what? I'm an up and coming rapper. I'm a popular rapper. I can get laid if I want to. I don't have to get laid with a 44-year-old woman who's married. I can get laid anytime I want to. And if she was just a plate, you can call it healing all you want, but maybe pragmatically, he said, you know what? I like her. She's fun, but she's Mrs. Will Smith. So I'm out. But what if he didn't? What if he was blue pill? What if he was like, oh, I'm in love with you. I'll do anything for you. That would change the dynamic, wouldn't it? Let's see. Chris Johnson says, I nominate Bill Burr for your next case study. Okay. VWAP Trader again says Jada is an alpha widow for Tupac Shakur. Yes, that's another sort of element to this that I have not really covered. The whole reason I even became aware of any of this was because she was on some show and she was talking about her, I guess, involvement with Tupac, and a lot of the specifics that she even talks about with August. A lot of that was with Tupac as well. And because before Tupac died, she had some kind of, she says it wasn't sexual, but like they had some kind of like they knew each other in high school or something. And so they were really like, Jada and Tupac were very tight. And I think that if he wasn't her alpha widow, his ideal, his memory is the alpha that she's widowed from. And that's, again, that's probably really tough for Will Smith too. Because now, not only is she an alpha widow of Tupac Shakur, she's also a widow of August Alsina. So she's like, that's the double whammy right there. So yeah, of course she needs a lot of rationalization to sort of cover all that kind of stuff up and keep her family together. I want to, this reminded me of something I didn't get to. I'm probably going to do a full show on this, but this is the gist of the idea. The idea is that once a woman cheats on you, whether it's your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, once that woman cheats on you, that is a confirmation that her desire for whoever she cheated with is more than it is her dedication to you. I think that's probably pretty basic. She want the desire, like when I talk about how marriage counselors try to put the marriage back together after infidelity. And if it's a woman who's done it, I think it's probably more difficult to put a marriage back together if the woman is the one who cheated than it is with the guy. Because for the guy, it's usually, it's based in his own sexual strategy, which is he can dissociate himself from the emotions of the sex act. It's like, that's why pornography is a thing for guys. They can get off and go out the door and, smoke a cigarette, go do whatever they're going to do, like get on with their life. For women, it's like, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about him. Because remember, women have the hypergamous filter. They're looking for quality. So when a woman cheats, she's looking for a quality of some kind, whether that's like people say, well, it's emotional. Well, yeah, but it's also that guy's hotter than you and she has more desire for him. And it was an opportunity she took. And maybe she regrets it. Maybe she doesn't. The fact of the matter is she cheated on you, and the desire to cheat with that guy was greater than her desire to like control herself and stay with you. So it's all about desire. It's not about like, I would say it's less about an emotional connection than it is about like, I really wanted, he was cute. I was drunk, and one thing led to another. So when that happens, once that woman cheats and this is kind of relevant to Jada and Will, and I'm going to probably blow your minds with this one because I really need to do a full episode of this. But when a woman cheats, and she cheats with a guy who is significantly enough alpha or out alphas you, when she comes back to you and she's having sex with you as the husband or the boyfriend or whatever that she cheated on, she feels bad for having sex with you. Because at that point, her hypergamous filter has decided, let's just say for sake of argument, has decided that the alpha she cheated with, or the guy that she had the genuine desire for, is someone she should be pursuing, not you, not in your family, not in you. You're the safe guy, right? You're the guy who laughs at all her jokes, right? You're the guy who's like, yeah, 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 yeah. You're that guy. You're the yes man. And so, I mean, unless you are really super alpha, in that case, it's probably you're not dealing with cheating at that point. But hear me out. When a woman has sex with a guy who her hindbrain has already designated as being that alpha, like she's alpha widowed from, like in this case, like say Tupac, and maybe she didn't have sex with him, but like he's alpha enough that she has desire for him, or August. Do you think she thinks about that? Do you think that they can have sex right now? Like Jada and Will Smith, I don't think they have sex at all, but do you think that they could have sex right now? And Will would be like, you're thinking about him, aren't you? Right? You're thinking about that time. Like that's never going to go away. That's never going to stop. That's never going to be a non-issue for them. And you say, well, he's insecure. No, he's not. That's just where your mind goes. Unless you're really, really naive. Unless you're really Pollyanna, stupid, naive. So at any time, and then even then, and that's Will. So when Jada's having sex with him, do you think that she goes, well, I'm having sex with this guy, but I really want to get with that other guy. I really want to go back. So what does that make a woman feel when she's having sex with the guy that she cheated on? Because he's too stupid to figure it out. So on top of everything else, her hindbrain saying, this guy, I'm with a guy who's too stupid to figure out that I'm cheating on him with somebody who is better in bed than he is, or is more fun, or I have more desire for. So what that does is that confirms for her hypergamous filter that the guy that she's with is not the best she can do. And again, I'm going to do I think I will do a full episode on this. But what happens, long story short, what happens is when she has got with the guy that she has genuine desire for, and let's just call him the alpha just for sake of designation here, when that alpha is the guy who rocked her world and she goes back to the guy that she's cheating on, when she has sex with that guy who is now designated as the beta, she feels like she's cheating on the guy who she actually has genuine desire for. Oh, I shouldn't be having sex with this guy. I should be having sex with that guy. There's so much, we can have so much more. There's so much more potential. There's so much more there. He's the winner who's going to cross the finish line. I need to be ready and be there for him. I have genuine desire to have sex with this guy. I don't have genuine desire to have sex with this guy, but because of convention, because I'm married, because of social whatever, I have to at least have this guy. I have to have some starfish sex or, just duty sex with this guy so he doesn't suspect anything because it'll ruin my life. But I really, really, really want to get with that guy. I really want to go back. And I feel like I'm cheating on him, on my alpha, with my beta husband. And that's a really tough place for women to be. And they can't, I think that's probably one of the hardest things for women to hide, because she goes from being like into having sex with her husband to, are you done yet? Okay. I got to go back and I got to get back to my friend. So I'll do a full show on that, where it's like I think the dynamic is such that the alpha guy that she really wants to get with, there's an evolutionary element to that. So that once she's been with that guy who her brain says, this is the best you can do, and then she's forced to go with another guy that isn't the best, or even if she's married to him, she's forced to go back to that guy. What that is rape in the back of her mind. He is somebody that I don't want to have sex with, but I have to have sex with. What is that? What's the definition of that? That's rape. But I really have enthusiastic consent for August or whoever it is, I really want to get with that guy. And there's a conflict right there where she feels like she has to do sex with her husband. Otherwise he's going to suspect something, or maybe she's just not into it. She's really into it with that other guy. I think what happens is the dynamic switches. It's not like, oh, I'm cheating on my husband. It's like, I'm cheating on my lover with my husband now. See what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that at a later date. Geez, you guys are killing me now. Thank you for all of these because I can pretty much guarantee you this podcast or this show will be demonetized. Chris Johnson says, I nominate Bill Burr. Okay, you said that, Jada. Thank you. Thunderous Roar says, is there something to be said that she seems to have the desire to do this publicly with him other than emasculating him? Well, I think he's pretty much emasculated in this already, although he's trying to sort of hold his own. And I think a lot of people will find, like, certainly the fanboys will say, well, you know, he's really not like that. He can get with Margot Robbie. Well, the jury's still out on that. And yeah, he could. Like I had some guy like criticize me saying, well, you know, Will Smith can get with any girl he wants to. Even if he got a divorce, he'd still have, you know, a lot of money and he's Will Smith. He can get with whoever he wants to. Does that guy in that video, the Will Smith in that video look like the guy who's like wants to get with anybody who wants to? Maybe he does. I don't know. He's like, I'm going to get you back. Maybe that was just him trying to save face, but he stuck with her this long. And I don't know what the rest, like I said, I don't know him. I don't know her. I don't know their marriage. I don't know any of that kind of crap. But I do know this is like for guys, even it doesn't matter what kind of money you have, what kind of fame you have. You can be Jeff Bezos and Jeff Bezos can get with any girl he wants to. He doesn't. He chooses Lauren Sanchez. Why? Because he can't get past this. He can't get past his head. He can't get past his blue pill conditioning. That's why we go, what on earth is he doing with that girl? She's like, you know, how can he not say, why is he not living like Dan Blitzer? He could live better than Dan. He could have like 10 times the girls. He don't want that. He just wants Dirty Sanchez. Maybe she rocked his world. I don't know. But I would say this, and I know what you're saying. It says it seems to be desired publicly. I think it's PR. This whole thing is PR, really. Because it got out, they didn't want it to get out, and in doing so, we get a little glimpse into what their partnership is all about. And she's definitely the one who holds the frame in this. I think that's pretty much established. RDS says, Rolo, have to challenge you here. Okay, please do. You say that men must spin plates, but only marry a virgin. I never said only marry a virgin. If men sleep with women, where will the virgins come from? Is it the chicken or the egg? I never said that, first of all. I never said that, oh, well, you know, just you need to have a virgin bride. I've talked about virgins before, and I think it's a bad idea, to be honest with you. Unless you are ready to, like, get into a straight-up marriage with somebody. Like, I understand why, like, premarital sex is a thing. I get it. But, and I just don't think it's tenable right now. But I understand why it exists. Like, oh, you shouldn't have sex before marriage. Yeah, because for women, they pair bond usually with the guy, the best guy that they can get with. And if that's the first, like, you know, they say, oh, you always remember your first. So, yeah, I know people have tried to say, every woman in the world's tried to back me up or try to back me into a corner with that. Well, if you're having sex with them, how can they ever be virgins? I've never said that you should go and, you know, get you a virgin. No, in fact, I've said quite the opposite. I said it's pretty bloody impossible to find a virgin today. So really that says more about, I think, the conflict between what we have as an ideal and what our biologies really are. And in a global sexual marketplace, that's where virgin women are, I will say this right now, virgin women are more rare than virgin men. Virgin men are all over they're a dime a dozen, man. You can't sneeze without blowing down a virgin man. But women will always get more sex, and there will be less virgin women than there will be virgin men today, and certainly going forward into the global sexual marketplace. Valdemar Perez Jr. Valdemar says, I would say Will Smith is a contextual alpha. Okay, maybe. An alpha in the movie business, but a beta in this relationship. Yeah, that's the quandary, right? It's the guy who you see as being like this on top of his game and completely driven, and then makes really bad decisions because he's still very blue pill conditioned. Greater Mark says, Rolo, thanks. Please translate your book into Spanish. And that's on the list of translations, honestly. Actually, I'll probably be the first translation I do once book 4 is out. once book 4 is out in the wild, things are going to change for this show, for The Rational Male, for my other books as well. I'm planning on releasing a hardback for the first one. I'm going to go back in and edit that one so the type is a little bit bigger. I know there's some complaints about it. I actually changed the typos. If you have the Kindle version of the first book, go and reload that again, because I've taken care of all the typos in it already. That's something I could do like immediately. So I did that. So the first book is typo free right now. So go ahead and have a look at that if you'd like. But I have some plans, and I also have some announcements at the end of the show today too. So Al says, imagine being this dramatic while being rich. I know, right? I think that's funny. It's like a lot of people think that if you have money, that it cures like your bad thinking or your bad, programming. And it doesn't. Mike A says, can you do a video on how girls develop into women with BPD? Okay. So noted. I'll put that in the great big book of everything. Revolting One, $5. Thank you, Revolting One. I got another $9.99 from my number one fan, Stephen W. Thank you very much. Kevin Morse says, Rolo, have you read Predatory Female by Reverend Lawrence Shannon? No, I haven't. It's very relative to the second epiphany phase. Very informative. Okay. I'll look at that. The Predatory Female. Al, thank you for your $5, Al. Rolo, when I get with 18-year-old girls, I just want to feel good. I just want to feel wanted. I just wanted to heal. Yeah, well, try using that one the next time you get nailed to the wall. I don't know who this is. Let's see. Hold on. TB88 says $5. Reminds me of what Patrice O'Neill said about women always needing a reason to cheat or justify it. Yeah, and I think what's funny is now there's almost a template for this whole thing. Like this is exactly what I would expect, and I don't want to say just from a black woman, but from like women who are sort of in the View kind of mentality, or in the Book of Oprah, right? It's, we needed to heal. We really need to communicate. We really need to put everything on this red table and communicate, because that'll save everything and we'll all be good and you'll feel fine. You're laughing. You're making jokes. I must be okay. It's love, right? Let's see how Warrior Ray says, how is a man supposed to love such a creature when the society encourages females to be hypergamous and treat men as disposable tools? Well, guess what? Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. What's the other half? Violence. No. So yeah, I've talked about that. I talked about this in the last show, Warrior Race. I talked about love and what differing concepts of love. And I think what really throws off guys is when I say that, yes, men and women can genuinely, enthusiastically love one another. And you can sustain sex. You can sustain all this. I think one of the problems that we have, and I wrote about this in Dalrock and I have written about this extensively, which is we base, I think, our love on the romantic ideal. And that romantic ideal comes from courtly love. It comes from a very feminine, specific, controlling kind of definition of love. Our global definition of love right now is firmly rooted in the gynocentric social order. It is female correct. That's why I was saying at the very beginning of this video, love is female correct. The way that a woman loves is the way everybody should love. It's this universal, cosmic, correct way to love. And if men aren't emotional, if men can't emote like a woman, well, there's something wrong. We got to send you back to re-education. You got to get therapy. You want to have lots and lots of sex with random women instead of with me. We need to pathologize your sexual response and send you back to sex addiction therapy or whatever the hotness is right now. That's because you're wrong, because you're incorrect. You're loving incorrectly. Jada can go and cheat with a hot 23-year-old guy, but that's correct because she's doing it for the right reasons. Because that's the universal ideal, or that's what we're supposed to believe is the universal ideal. Remember how I said that when the biggest problem that most like beta men, most blue pill beta men have with women is not understanding, or is believing, I should say, is believing that their idealistic concept of love is the universal one, is the shared one. Well, women, I want a woman who can love me as much as I love her, or in the same way that I love her. Boy, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Except women don't love the same way that you do. Can you have two, like, I don't say, they're not opposing so much, but can you have two differing concepts of love come together and make something really nice and something great? Yes, you can. You know, I've done it. I know other people who have done it. Generations that came before the feminine primary social order certainly did it. Your grandfather, your great grandfather probably did it. I don't know. But it's because we understand that women love differently, men love differently. It's in a female correct social order where men go, that's not how I love. She should love me the way I am. My love is the only real love. You need to understand that her love is different, your love is different, and she should also understand the same thing. You want to have a good, healthy relationship? That's where it comes from. Healthy relationships come, and this I'm going to quote Royce here, come from polarity, understanding that you're different, not similarity. Likes, likes attract. No, we don't. Opposites attract. And understanding the difference between the two and still being able to be complements to one another, accepting that that's how she loves and how you love. That's the problem. You want to know why there's such a big problem? Is because women think that men ought to love the way they do, or they should at least appreciate that. You saw that this whole freaking video is about that. And of course, a blue pill Will Smith is like, yeah, okay, yeah. All that does to her psyche is just say, okay, this guy's a chump. I wish I was still back with that guy. Oh man, God, you guys are landing on thick today. Parker, I don't know what the hell your last name is. Sover says, what do you think of intersectionality ideology? I think it's bullshit. There you go. There's your $5 answer. Al says, old women never realize they're just a pump and dump. I can talk. Sorry, I should have blown you off there, Parker. Yeah, intersectionality ideology, particularly intersectional feminism, is basically a power grab on the part of women. There you go. Al, thank you for that. SC Talk Media says, you are surgically breaking this down, Roll. Thank you. I try to. This is my point is to be as objective as I possibly can, but also be as, this is going to sound really funny coming from me. I'm always trying to strike a balance, and I probably fail at it miserably most of the time, but I'm always trying to strike a balance between being succinct and being thorough. And I usually err on the side of being thorough. Sorry. That's why we go for 2 hours, right? That's what I'm always trying for. I'm trying to be as concise. I'm trying to, it's being concise and being thorough. That's really tough for me, but thank you for sticking it out. Super Nifty Susie says, hi, Rolo. Super Nifty Susie. Why is that men claim to want good, honest women, but continually pursue and marry women like Jada Smith with questionable behavior? Okay, well, because first off, remember when he married her, she was 25 some odd years old. She is not the same person that she was when she was 25. We're talking about 25-year difference between when they married and when they got married and when Jada was probably like with him. Remember, he has been like putting her on a pedestal for a very long time. That's why I keep saying that he's blue pill. Alpha enough, but certainly blue pill. And blue pill because he has a history of sort of pedestalizing her. And even at the end of this interview, he pedestalizes her. We're going to do it. We have a crappy marriage forever. Yay. I can't wait till I'm on my deathbed and say that before I check out. I want to say this too. So let me answer your question really quickly here. Super Nifty Susie. God damn it. You guys are killing me with this stuff. Hang on one second. Oh, quick. Get in another one. So why do guys do that? Well, most guys are morons. Most guys, particularly when they're younger, they're full of ideals and they make those decisions based on those ideals. And those ideals are informed by inaccurate information. I feel pretty comfortable in saying that like in 1995, 1996, myself included, that Will Smith and most guys, they didn't have access to the information that I'm giving you right here in 2020. They didn't have we certainly didn't have the internet, and we were doing the best with what we had at that time. That's why they make those decisions. Why do they make those bad decisions now? Because it is a means to an end. Most guys can't realize or can't actuate their innate sexual market or their innate sexual strategies. So they have to go with their adaptations, with their contingency plans, and usually that's like I've talked about this with Rich when he was talking about the red flags. How come these guys can't see the red flags? They don't want to. They do. They just accept it because it's a means to an end. What else was I going to say? Oh, also, super nifty Susie, you're a 29-year-old woman. Do I still have a chance to marry a wealthy man? I'm 5'5" and 130 pounds. No, you don't. There you go. 5'5" and 130 pounds. That's kind of like you're a little thick there, baby. You want a wealthy man? You want a hot? So it's all about yeah. At 29, I'm sure it probably is about wealthy man. A hairy butthole follows you up with 50 Cent. Put it on Will Smith too. He did. Red lens versus blue lens. Good breakdown. 50 Cent did. I didn't know that. I need somebody needs to link me that. Bacon comments. Thank you for the $5.56. You couldn't round it off to $5 because $5.60 would be stupid. My own theorem, as far as women, excellent. My own theorem, as far as women and pair bonding goes, once she molds herself around a man she chooses, once she breaks it off, she dies. Explains the notch count or notch number. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I did not get to that part in the thing. Is that remember what I've talked about, and I think Donovan's talked about this before, is like when women are into another guy, they tend to adopt his likes and things about him. And I'm wondering, and they didn't talk about this, but I think I'd be accurate by saying that during that time when they're getting together, when Jada and August were hooking up, she probably, like, you want to know why she was healing him and she was really into him and everything? Because he was the guy that she wanted to get with. And now I think probably she rationalizes the interests that she had at that time. The writing's on the wall. Like, for most guys, you need to listen to your guts. You need to listen to your instincts. Like when you say, oh, Rolo, I think I should snoop through her phone. I think she's cheating on me. Maybe. Probably, if you're hitting me up and you're asking me about that, it's probably because somewhere in your peripheral awareness, things don't measure up. Things don't look the right way. And then your instinct goes, watch out, she's not good for paternity interests, watch out. And you're like, she wouldn't do that to me. Oh, we have an equal partnership. She would never cheat on me. She loves me. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't be suspicious. That would mean I would be insecure in my masculinity. And at the same time, the instinct's going, no. And you're like, well, maybe I should check her phone. No, yes. It's instinct versus emotion. And sometimes we'll talk ourselves out of that. Well, for most guys will, they'll make an emotional plea to themselves, but they'll talk themselves out, like rationally, out of what their instincts are telling them. I wish I would have gone with my gut. Yeah, me too. Now you're screwed. Oh, Doug Chisholm says, great show. Thank you. Thank you very much. This has been a great show. John Doe says, when is the show on my favorite Captain Jack Sparrow? I'm glad you brought him up too, because he factors into this as well, but only insofar as we have this impression of Johnny Depp as being this alpha guy. We see him in any movie, right? We see him in Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Oh, he's so hot. He could get, like, women still love Johnny Depp. And you know what? Even after Amber Heard takes a dump in his bed, literally takes a dump in his bed, and is on record, is on video saying, you're a man, no one will ever believe you, and cutting him and hurting him and just going full BPD on him, as she did with Elon Musk. We still don't want it. I don't want to say anything. There's women who will sympathize with him, but they don't want to get with him. Remember, there is nothing that is more of a turnoff for women than being than pity or being pathetic. Like after this interview with Will Smith, it looks pretty pathetic. I hate to say, I love you, Will. I know you're stronger than this, but you didn't look too good at this. Even at the end where you're like, oh, I'm going to get you back. Just a kidding. Only not. Like, you look pretty pitiable. Is that a word? Pitiable? And there's not, like, women don't want to have to feel obligated to have sex with a man that they pity. There you go. That's your wisdom for today. Super Nifty Susie, who keeps giving me $5. Man, I feel like an OnlyFans. You just stuff those $5 right here in my G-string, Super Nifty Susie. There you go. Hi, Rolla. Do I have a chance to secure a man with the resource? You already said that, but I'll take your $5. Thank you. Mr. Barlow. Ha, I caught up. Will Smith will be on Time Magazine for Man of the Year. Will he? I don't think so. Okay, I am not going to go for 3 hours. I know that like Sambata thinks I will, but I'm going to get through the rest of these and then I'm going to end. I have an announcement for you at the end of the show. So, who else do I need to get to? Anita Naim. Rollo, what to do if you think there was an infidelity in your spouse, but you can't prove it and she denies it? Find a way to prove it if you think. If not, like, remember, Anita, I'm going to presume you're a chick. I'm going to presume you're female. Okay. Like, what's funny today is, like, in the social media age, it's never been easier to figure out if your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever, is cheating on you. It's never been easier. So when people say, well, I can't prove it. Boy, is she a ghost? He a ghost? You know? What was it? I think it was Sigmund Freud said, and I hate to go Freud on you, but Sigmund Freud said that no human being, no mere mortal can keep a secret. That there's something, like, if there's a secret, it will come out in some way. Now, he always used to say it was subconscious, because he was all about subconscious. But then he said, like, it'll come out like in their fingertips. They'll be tapping there'll be a nervous twitch. There'll be something that belies the secret. And I think that's probably true. Like when I watch like Joe Navarro stuff, about like body language, and he's like the FBI guy who, I'm not talking about like body language mastery. I'm talking about like real like profilers, like FBI profilers who understand body language. They agree with, they'll say the same thing. Is like, there's no way, like there's like, you know, twitches or like, you know, or like, I do this a lot and I didn't really realize I was doing this. Like when I'm contemplating things, I do the steeple when I'm thinking about stuff. You'll see pictures. I think one of my thumbnails is me doing that. I just do that kind of unnatural. I didn't know that there was like actually meanings and stuff for that, but look for those things. That would be where I would start if that's the case. If your instinct is saying that is making you suspicious, it's probably because there's something in that person's behavior that is not part of what you would predict as their behavior, or what your subconscious or your instinct says that's normal behavior and that's not. So when you have that gut feeling, like for guys, it's mate guarding. Like when guys say, okay, she's wearing the red dress and those hoop earrings again, that makes me feel a little weird, you know, and they'll say, well, I don't want to be an insecure man. She can go out and do whatever she wants to. She doesn't need my permission, but they still feel that. They still feel jealousy. They still feel the urge to mate guard in various ways because she's behaving in a way that her instinct says, or his instinct says, she's acting out of the ordinary this week of her ovulation. Maybe I should keep her indoors. You know, like that's what crosses your mind, but then your rational mind goes, no, I don't want to be a insecure man. Go ahead, have your girls' night out. I'm sure everything will be fine. Dark. Oh, wait. I got it. There it is. Dark Knight Mentality says the thing that really messes men up is that we are conditioned to believe that the way we as men love is the way women love. Yes, that is I think that's the root for a lot of sort of discontent and conflict between men and women. By the time we figure out that it's not the case, we're reading your book. Yeah, it's true. I watch myself sometimes on the big TV on YouTube, and I go, God damn it, I need to stop saying so much. Let's see. Bacon comments again. Says, you were my everything. Message from my last ex. Good. Well, what did she do? Why is she your ex? Outer Road says, I love the show. I love you too, Outer Road. Thank you very much for your $5 contribution. Jonathan Smith says, how do we change the system? Like, where do we go to make a change? We got to repeal the 19th. How do we do that? We go forward. We go forward with knowledge. We go forward. How do you make a change? Well, you can be the change you want to see in the world. Make sure that you're making an informed decision on the kind of change you want to see in your world. But you can start by this, Jonathan, is to become your own mental point of origin. Like I say every show. But you're not going to do it. Remember, it's a process. And you need to, like, if I was to tell, if Will Smith were to ask me this, well, how can I change her? Well, you get out. Sometimes you have to pull the Band-Aid off. And you don't pull the Band-Aid off like, you got to go. Because if you don't, it's going to hurt like hell. So you need to have, I think a lot of guys today have been trained to sort of accept certain things. And we need to get to a point where there's no compromise. We need to next. We need to be able to, and that's a PUA term, I know, but we have to be able to next and to stick with those next and not regret those nexts. Because until we do, shit ain't going to change. And then the other thing, how do we go forward? Well, I don't know, meteorite hits the world. Then everything, the social unrest will make things change. Well, yeah, it probably will. But you know what? You're going to go right back to the same thing unless you understand what's going on, unless you understand, or you're red pill aware, you've internalized it, and you live it. That's how you make the change. David Aruda, when you hear the quote from a woman, I got that one. How do we change? Boy, if I had the answer, we'd already be changed now, wouldn't we? David Aruda says, when you hear the quote from a woman, I am broken, that's a sign to run fast. Yes. I will go one better, David. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Believe them. I missed this one. I'm going to throw it out there. Doug Chisholm says, great show. Thank you. He gave me $25. Thank you, Doug. I'm just going to put that one out there again. I know you did that one before, but I'm going to put it up because that's a red quote. And let's see. Jay Will says, do you see society ever going back towards masculinity? No, I see the society going forward towards masculinity. This is the joke, right? Is traditional conservatives, tradcons, whatever you want to call them, power dads, whatever you want to call that mentality, don't want the red pill. They want a time machine. You need to get to the point where you don't want a time machine. There is no pendulum. There is no, we're going to swing it back. Now we're all going to play by these rules. Everybody come over here. That doesn't happen. That won't happen. You need to go forward towards masculinity, not backwards. You can look and see, you use I keep making the comparison between old order and new order sort of thinking and wisdom. Some old order thinking is correct, and we need to still, hang on to that and, compare it to what we know in the new order. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I'm just saying we need to let go of old order thinking, go forward, take what's useful of masculinity and you apply it to how things are going to change in the future, because we ain't going back. We're not going back to the golden years. We're not going back to the 50s or the greatest. We all need to be like great grandpa. Your great grandfather would tell you to go to hell. Like, go that way. That's what he would tell you. It seems everyone is so soft. Victimhood mentality and feelings over logic. Yes, because we're in a gynocentric social order. Feels before reals is generated by a gynocentric social order. I missed you. Oh, no, I didn't. Tiger the Brave. Sorry. Yes, I did miss you. My bad, man. He says, I have become the target of a lot of hate and envy from people. Means you're doing it right. I thought my friends, They're cock blocking and stealing my money. Okay. How do I not lose my cool? I don't know. Maybe you should lose your cool. Maybe you should tell them what's up. Maybe you should be a little bit more, let's say, not aggressive, but assertive. MNO55555 gave me $10. He says, how much should a man talk during a date? Mystery says a lot. Did he? Others say a woman, 80%. A woman should talk 80%. Also, I have difficulty displaying options rather than looking like a player. Okay, so you look like a player. Maybe it's funny is like you need to own that sometimes. Own it. Like when you shave your head bald, either your bald head owns you or you own your bald head. If you wear certain clothes, either the clothes own you or you own the clothes. You own the look. It's like a band, right? It's the band that makes the name, not the name that makes the band. It's owning it. So that's part of it. The other thing is, I think I would agree with not being as verbose. It's good to be a good conversationalist, but you need to learn to. I have a great. In fact, I'll just give you this link here. I have an essay called Breadcrumbs, and in Breadcrumbs, I talk about exactly this. Which is, well, what should you say? Well, you need to be able to ask open-ended questions. Let her do the talking, and then you go from there and direct the conversation from there. That's how you want to know how to be a good conversationalist. Is you got to read people. A lot of people don't know how to do cold reads anymore, or how to read a woman. That's another essay I have. It's called How to Read. Learning how to read. Look for breadcrumbs and learning how to read. That will help you. Al says, $2 says, bro, get married for the tax benefits. No. Seattle Sideshow. What keeps Will married instead of enjoying his wealth and fame with other women? Eroticized cuckoldry? No way. He doesn't know his options. Do you think I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Does he know his options? I think he does. Does Jeff Bezos know his options? Jeff Bezos can buy a harem of women and bang a new chick every night if he wanted to. Literally. You're next. You're next. Like one after the other. Jeff Bezos could do all that. Do you think he doesn't know that? Do you think Will doesn't know that? Will knows that. It's just his blue pill mentality prevents him from that. Same thing with, I would say Jeff Bezos and Will Smith are both very much blue pill conditioned men. And they've lived long lives. Well, I don't know how old Jeff is, but Will's as old as I am. Lived pretty good long time, but he's lived as a blue pill conditioned guy. And it's worked for him. When you repeat the mantra, if you're a famous guy and you repeat the mantras of the village and a blue pill conditioned guy, they'll reward you for that. You'll be rewarded for your whole life. If you are on board with that, if you don't push back against it. In fact, the only time you'll be punished is if you go against it. If you cheat, if you're not the good guy we thought you were a good guy. You were talking about the blue pill. You're a good guy. I can't believe you cheat on like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, he's got a family. He's a good guy. He's nailing chicks in Blue Martini in Orlando. Go look it up. I know it's true. How can he know? I can't believe it. My image is blown of him. Yeah, your image is of him mouthing the words of the blue pill. That's why your image is blown. Oh, let's see. I don't think so. Like, yeah. Do they know? Like, do you think Tiger Woods knew what his options were? I think he did, and he realized them too. Dark Knight Mentality. Oh wait, what is this? Did I get to this one? I thought I got to this one already. Rolo, do you agree that men should take some blame for how women are today? Yes, but not all the blame. Western men aren't as strong as they think. If women can run them. Yeah, yes. Again, it's because men are, most men are betas. And they go along with the beta blue pill conditioning because it seems like the best way to go about life. Seems like, and until you get to Will Smith's age and things don't turn out the way you want them to. I get this, like women will say this to me too. Women more than men will say this. They'll say, well, If men would be better, then women would have to be better, right? We can't control ourselves. How come you're not controlling? Daddy, how come you're not spanking me? That's really what they're saying. How come I'm not being punished? How come you're not enforcing any consequences on me? We've rigged the entire world so that if you tried to, we would blame you for Me Too, or we would take half of your shit, or we would whatever. We would do all of this stuff, but please enforce your will on us. We've lived for the last almost 60 years of, absolving us of all responsibility and all liability, but it's your fault that we're like this. No, women do what they want to do, and they do bear a lot of responsibility. I think actually the real question is how come there aren't any red pill for women? How come there isn't any like women going, well, you know what? We should all live differently, ladies. We should all be more submissive. We should all be like, listen to our husbands or our boyfriends, or we should all expect correction from men. That's not, how popular do you think that YouTube channel would be? No, it wouldn't. But because we look at men as being responsible for civilization, we say, well, don't you think that men have something? So they've got to be in some way responsible for, well, they're responsible for everything, but they're responsible also for us getting away with everything. Well, you're still doing it. So it's not just men's fault. Most men wouldn't even dream of trying to correct women. They would never like Will Smith spent like almost 15, 20 minutes. He didn't correct her once. He didn't say, bitch, why did you cheat on him?
Gotcha, bitch.
He didn't say that. He did not say that. He was like, yeah, well, you're going to get yours. That's what a beta would say. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get revenge. An alpha wouldn't say shit. He would just be like, and he'd be out the door, and that'd be the end of it. If he was alpha, if he was red pill, I think he's already alpha, but if he was red pill and he was red pill aware and he was fed up enough, I think Will Smith, if he was fed up, if you pushed him hard enough, he probably would, like he was saying, I was going to kick you to the curb. Yeah, but you didn't. What prevented you from kicking her to the curb? What prevented you? And why? Why were you at a state where you were ready to have a break? And why did you take her back? I would say in like 95% of the cases, when a guy takes a woman back, it is worse than if he just says, screw it, I'm out. That's why that's an iron rule of Tomasi. Never root through garbage. Once you drag the can to the curb, because it's always time better spent developing new relationships than it is trying to repair an old one. And that's exactly what Will Smith has done in this, is he's been trying to repair something for probably a long time. Well, at least 4.5 years, for a long time. And now he's got to go on YouTube and address Twitter and rumors and all this other stuff to protect his reputation, because he didn't do what he should have done 5 years ago. But he didn't do it. Now here we are. That is the red pill education of Will Smith. Here we are. Anything else? Boy, you guys are killing me today. Let's see what keeps him on. I talked about that. Edgar Wilson, thank you for that $20. I much appreciate it. BW says, Rolo, if you were Will, how would you proceed? I would have, if I were red pill Rolo Tomasi, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I would never, you wouldn't see me at the red table. That's for damn sure. Like I said, if let's say, you're Will Smith, what are you going to do? I would have been out a long time ago. Once and here's a good rule of thumb. Once your woman has decided to have sex with another guy, you're done. That's it. That's it. Over, done, out. See ya. I think women are far more lenient or forgiving if the guy is like super alpha, like if her hypergamous filter says this is the guy that is the best that I can do, she'll, he's a guy. Like, he's still into me. He still wants me. I mean, it sucks. Okay. Maybe it sucks for the girl because she's lower SMV than he is. Usually that's how it works. is you want a good stable relationship. You need to be at least one SMV point above, or you perceptually anyways, your girlfriend, your wife has to see you as at least one step above her in sexual market value. And I'm not saying that doesn't even have to be the case. She can be like a 10 and you can be an 8 or a 7. And as long as the perception is that you have higher sexual market value than her on her part, you're going to probably have a good relationship. You're going to have some kind of healthy relationship until she realizes, she says, oh, this guy's a fat chump. I don't want to have anything to do with him. But if you can maintain that, the perception that you have, because remember, everything's perceptual for women. It's not always, it doesn't have to be actualized. Usually it is. I mean, because you can see, oh, look, this guy's hot. Okay, I want to get with him. But if you can maintain the perception that you are above her in sexual market value, that's when you're going to be able to maintain the relationship. Remember, it's about jealousy too. Women can't love a man, or women cannot feel attraction or real deep attraction or was it a deep conversion or love for a guy until she experiences jealousy for that guy. So if I were Will, it would never have reached that point. It would have been over the minute that I discovered that she was with another guy. And I would say the same thing about my own wife too, because I know how desire works. And I know that once she's had sex with somebody else who she had enough desire to pursue that with, then I know that having sex with me is going to end up being like having sex with the beta. Like she's cheating on the alpha that she was cheating on with her husband, who she's now confirmed as a beta. So the only option really at that point is to say, you know what? I'm going to walk out on my feet and not on my knees. That's what I would do. Christian Matiko, do you believe friendships can be rekindled? Friendships with men or with women? I need to do the friends episode. I don't think I've done a friends episode like how men and women cannot be friends. Not in the way that we're friends with our same-sex friends anyways. Can be rekindled friendships with other dudes? Sure. With women? I don't think friendship means the same thing. Primary Focus says, do you believe that women, thanks for $5, man. He says, do you believe that the woman is more a problem than the state or the government? I think they are interconnected because the state and the government is gynocentric. Social order, gynocentric. And it's no, well, you sound like a victim. I'm not saying I'm a victim. I'm not saying men are victims. I'm just saying this is the operative state that we find ourselves in. Well, everyone knows that we're in a patriarchy. No, we're not in a patriarchy at all. We're supposed to be egalitarian, right? It's everything's even Steven. Go watch Divorce Incorporated, that documentary. I think it came out in 2013, 2014. Go watch that and then come back and tell me we live in a patriarchy. There's your education. There's your homework for today. Bacon. Can I plug my stuff here? If you pay me, you can. You can find me at Goddamn Bacon. If so, Goddamn Bacon. Goddamn Bacon. Great. And then finally, that was it. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm done. Don't give me any more. I'm not going to read them. We are at the 2:32 mark. This has been an epic show. We got up to about 2,500 live viewers. That's the most I've ever had on this show. So thank you guys for watching this. I hope this has been educational. I know a lot of people tuned in and they're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what he says about that. As soon as I stop talking about it, they're like, oh, okay, I'm out. So here's the announcement. Rule Zero Live in Las Vegas is a go. It's October 2nd through the 4th. Watch about midweek. I'm going to have collateral out. The guys will start their sales stuff, and we're going to try to have a show very soon. Now that StreamYard supports 10 people on a live stream, I'm going to do my best to get everybody on, I guess, this show. I'm not really sure. And we're going to have just a discussion and talk about what we're going to talk about. Tomorrow, I will be on with John from Modern Life Dating on his private channel for Body Language Mastery. Thank you, Bacon. Bacon is good. What else? So, I had a wake-up call. My wake-up call was is that on Wednesday, when the original stream for my YouTube show, which was going to be about can women love? Can women really love men? That's what it was going to be about. And it still was. I just called it a Q&A. So go watch that. It was a really good show. But I'm considering this, and you guys can steer me in the right direction if you want to, but I'm considering, and I'm probably going to do this. I'm probably not this week, but I'm thinking about taking my Wednesday shows to Patreon. So I'm putting them in a private community so that I can maintain these things and say what I want to and monetize it however I want to. I'm making this decision more because I'm of the opinion that I'm probably on a list, or I'm probably have been flagged or something like that. And I don't want to get deleted. I already have everything, just so you guys know, I have all of these videos backed up. So Slender Fender, give me your damn question again, and I'll get to it right now. But I'm probably going to take things private on, if not this month, it will start in August, but I need to set things up. I need to arrange things a little bit better. So, I'm probably going to do that. Also, good news for you. I've decided the masses have spoken, and I'm going to do merch too. So I will do merch. I'm not going to stop this channel. Don't worry. It'll still be on Sundays. But I think I might take the Wednesday show over to private on my Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon subscriber, it's only $5 right now. It's the lowest point, and you'll be able to get to all of the archives and all of my Wednesday shows when I do that. So that's coming up. Again, this is because I'm really trying to protect myself a little bit more. I was considering going over to Twitch and maybe doing a simulcast to Twitch. We'll see. I don't know. It might just be one more thing I offer as far as like accessibility. That's coming up. So I'm still considering that right now. I haven't like really pulled the trigger on it, but I really want to do that. What are you saying? My ex-wife gave birth control to another man's child while married. I am forced to pay child support because it was during the marriage. I just want to happy and recover from her craziness. How do I get my soul back? Spin more plates. Dump DTB. Dump that bitch. That's how you do it. My condolences too, man. I saw it. Thank you, Sam. Got it. All right. I am going to leave you guys now. The book is coming along very nicely. Now, what do you want? Your perspective on August. Do you think August should have made the decision to turn down Jada knowing she is married to Will Smith? In a perfect world, yes. In a perfect world, sure. But at the time, he was a 23-year-old guy up and coming. You know, what's strange is here is Jada Pinkett Smith interested in a 23-year-old August. Now, I don't know how famous or how well known he was back then, but it's a similar dynamic to a Will Smith who sort of picked up Jada Smith and brought her into becoming who she is. Sound familiar? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Should you have said yes or no? Yeah. Should you always say no to having sex with somebody's wife? Yeah, I would say so, particularly when they're a high-profile chick. But you'll notice that what he said, and I mentioned this earlier on, is that his story, and the reason why we're even talking about it is because now August at 27 years old was saying, well, Will Smith said he was cool with it. He was cool with me banging his wife because they were on a break. They were in an open marriage, whatever. Let me rationalize it a million different ways. In fact, I would say this. If you would have asked them 4.5 years ago, were they in an open marriage? They both probably would have said no. But now, after the fact, sounds like it excuses it. Sounds like a good rationale. So, I was going to kick you to the curb. Why didn't you? You knew she was sleeping around on you. Why didn't you? You knew she didn't have desire. She had more desire to bang him than you. Why didn't you? Actually, honestly, I think it's probably more on Will Smith than it is on August, but he did what he did. I don't think any man should sleep with another man's wife, period. End of story. Because there is that connection. There is that you're opening a can of worms you probably don't want to open. And right now, I think that the reason why he's talking about how he had permission, and now she has to reel that back in because that's what he said. I would give myself permission. So what she's doing is she's taking the responsibility for that infidelity on herself rather than pointing it back towards Will Smith, who August said gave his blessing, basically said, it's okay. You're good. We were in a bad place. I bet if you would have asked Will Smith at that time, he would have been pissed off. Now it sounds like the only way out. So there you have it. All right, guys, this has been fun. I appreciate this epic show. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you are a new viewer. I hope you are. I do this every Sunday and every Wednesday. Again, this is still on YouTube Wednesdays for now. I'm considering going private on at least partially, halfway. And merchandise is coming up. I'm working on it right now. I think you'll like what I'm going to do. So I'm a designer. I'm an artist. You love it. I'm healing. It's all about love. Remember that. Okay, guys, I will talk to you later. Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.